Football, with such strong skills, even nightclubs can produce football kings. Hey, fanfic family! So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction, so don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 151. Promise, Dream? Friends, rivals, the starting players of both Paderborn and Freiburg teams were warming up around the penalty area on both sides of the pitch. The substitute players naturally circled each other and practiced by themselves in an area slightly far away from the midfield. Feng walked straight towards the middle circle. The substitute players passing by Paderborn simply said hello and did not stop again. After all, he didn't come to chat with Paderborn's substitutes. Nothing else. The rosters of the two teams for today's game have been announced after the Paderborn team's bus drove into Freiburg. Not surprisingly, Feng's old friend Alger, the original captain of Freiburg U17, once again became a substitute player in this game. Therefore, at this time, Alger was not far from Paderborn's substitute. The game will start soon. Feng will run to the position where Freiburg's substitute is standing, and it will not have any bad impact when Feng walked towards the Freiburg substitutes. Alger also stood on the edge of the team, looking at the direction Feng came from in a daze. Feng, long time no see. I never thought that one day I would actually be able to stand on the field of the German Second League with you and play a match. But we are opponents. Alger and Feng hugged each other warmly, originally smiling. The corner of his mouth twitched slightly when he said the second half of the sentence. Hearing what Alger said, Feng knew that Alger paid great attention to the friendship between the two as classmates. Originally, he thought he could calmly say a few words to Alger, but now he couldn't hold himself any longer. Captain, at least half of our original agreement has been completed, right? Feng calmed down, adjusted his emotions, and gently patted Alger on the shoulder. We are all constantly improving ourselves. That's the best result. Yes, I will catch up with you soon. Alger nodded, still wearing his signature smile on his face. When it came to this topic, Feng had no choice to continue talking because he knows that there is a high probability that next season he will play for other teams that are capable of competing for Champions League spots. In this case, he will at least be a starting player in one of the 5 major leagues. But what about Alger? If Freiburg enters the Bundesliga next season, I'm afraid Alger will need to sit on the bench for a few years to improve himself, right? Even if head coach Dennis was his former mentor, under the pressure of the club's performance, he would not be able to give Alger too many opportunities to play. But Feng just needs to know these things in his heart. As long as Alger has a heart that always wants to catch up with him and constantly motivates himself to move forward, that will be fine. After that, Feng exchanged a few words with Alger, including the recent situation of the two of them, as well as the recent situation of other players in the Freiburg youth training camp. Among them, Feng felt the most disappointed it was Hardy, who did not successfully enter Freiburg's first team. Hardy, who is strict about self-discipline, certainly has no problem with his technical strength, but among the Freiburg first team, the forward strength is definitely among the top in the Bundesliga too. In such an environment, it is difficult for Hardy to have a chance to appear. Therefore, Dennis promised Hardy that he will most likely be loaned to other teams next season so that he can get more playing opportunities and gain more goals. Of course, Dennis' loan will definitely not cause Strachey's problem. Soon, the warm-up time was over, and the starting players from both sides entered the player tunnel together, preparing to enter the field. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. This time, Feng stood in the players' tunnel and did not feel any unkind eyes. The scene from the last game against Freiburg is still vivid in my mind. Peterson's disdainful expression finally softened. Maybe this is the deterrent effect of strength. Come on, boys from Freiburg, send the Paderborn people home and let them see how powerful Dennis is. Hit them 5 goals. End their miracle. Come on. In the stadium, the players walked out of the tunnel. Countless voices cheered for Freiburg, and the fans of the home team were cheering for their players. Recently, Dennis's record is indeed very impressive, which makes Freiburg fans hope that he can lead the team to win the Bundesliga championship. After all, Freiburg has already been humiliated this season and is in desperate need of something that can help them save face. After hearing the cheers from the fans behind them, the faces of the Freiburg players were full of fighting spirit. They all moved their muscles and were ready to give the Paderborn players a good look. Moreover, among them, the one who needs special care most is definitely Feng. Hearing some cheers, The Freiburg players floated up again, and the hatred buried in their hearts for Su Feng surfaced again. Paderborn Su Feng humiliated Freiburg, then let Paderborn repay it twice as much. Beep. Soon, after the players on both sides were ready, the referee blew the whistle to start the game. This season's focus battle for the Bundesliga championship has officially begun. In the first half, Paderborn kicked off the game first after Su Feng passed the ball back to Vidra. He immediately ran slowly towards Freiburg's backcourt now. Unanimity is back. The Paderborn team's tactics are still adjusted to the original 4-3-3, and Su Feng's tasks are also the same as before. Stand in the penalty area, connect with midfielders or wide players, and deal a fatal blow to the opponent. After Paderborn kicked off, Freiburg's players immediately rushed forward and began to actively fight for the ball in this game. Paderborn's opponent's coach Dennis was a coach who had designed tactics for Su Feng alone. Although his tactical design may be somewhat different from Gerald's, but there is not much difference. They all want to use Su Feng's excellent personal ability to help the team open up the situation. Therefore, Dennis definitely has his own unique understanding of how to deal with Paderborn's current formation. He did not let Freiburg's players press directly high like other teams did against Paderborn, and control the football in Paderborn's half. In this case, if Paderborn seizes the opportunity to defend and counterattack, Freiburg will be doomed. Dennis's response strategy is much smarter in this game. Freiburg's starting lineup was also a 4-4-2 formation, but unlike Paderborn, Freiburg's midfielder is in a diamond position, and the lateral space is relatively compressed a lot. Dennis, what does this mean? Chapter 152. Mentor's Tactics. Different cheering. Only by knowing enough about Su Feng can we prescribe the right medicine. And Dennis happens to be the head coach who is familiar with Su Feng. The diamond-shaped midfield position could have taken care of most of the midfield positions and also had a suitable route for the ball, but in terms of horizontal tightening, the purpose is to block the connection between Paderborn midfielder and Su Feng in the midfield position. In this case, a problem is exposed, that is, the space on the wing will be very open. Wouldn't it leave many opportunities for Paderborn? But analyzing the specific issues in detail, isn't Paderborn's main scorer the single center Su Feng? The wingers on both sides, such as Purlikovic, did score goals, but in fact, most of his scoring opportunities were obtained by making up shots in front of the goal or being fed by Su Feng. As long as Su Feng is held down firmly, Paderborn's attack can be disrupted. The eyes return to the playing field again. Freiburg's new tactics have indeed had a serious impact on Paderborn. In the space on the wing, Paderborn's central midfielder can move forward at will, but all passing routes that can connect to Su Feng are blocked by Freiburg's defensive players. It has to be said that Dennis's defensive tactic is much better than sending two central defenders to stick closely to Su Feng. Perhaps, if replaced by another center, facing this kind of defensive tactics, he could still run frequently and drop back to catch the ball. But what about Su Feng? I really rarely run very far to drop back to catch the ball. Bang! After dribbling the ball into the space on the Freiburg wing, Vidra glanced around the situation on the court. Su Feng was still stuck and couldn't get rid of it easily. The space on Purlikovic's side is quite good. There is a lot of room to move forward, and there is only one fullback in front of him to defend. In this case, Vidra didn't hesitate to pass the ball straight to Plekovic. After receiving the ball, Purlikovic made several stops and got rid of Freiburg's fullback with some difficulty. He staggered a few steps with the ball, adjusted his body shape, and then hit the goal directly from a small angle. Bang! The football rose from the ground, but due to the angle, Freiburg's goalkeeper standing by the goal frame easily confiscated it. To be honest, the best way to handle this ball is to pass it to Su Feng in the middle. However, in the Freiburg penalty area, there are 3 levels inside and 3 levels outside. How dare Purlikovic pass this ball to Su Feng so easily? There was no way around this opportunity. It was impossible to think about it for too long in front of the goal. He could only choose to kick it by himself and give it a try. However, the results were obviously not very good in this way. In the first half of the game, the two teams played back and forth, and the ball possession transition followed a rapid rhythm of the two teams. However, Paderborn's offensive organization could only be maintained on the wing, and the two wingers failed to seize the opportunity. As for Freiburg, luck is a little bit worse. Several offensive players' shots missed the target and missed the goal frame. 38 minutes of the game, the Paderborn midfielder once again tried to pass the ball directly to Su Feng. As for why no high-altitude ball was passed, because this kind of ball is very difficult. It requires a lot of player ability to pass it steadily into Su Feng's area. Obviously, Paderborn's midfielder does not have such ability and does not dare to try easily. I chose the more concealed earth sticker. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels, but this time, when the football was passed towards Su Feng in the front court, The Freiburg midfielder discovered the pass in time then. He quickly made a sliding tackle and kicked the football away. The ball fell to the feet of other Freiburg defenders immediately. Freiburg launched a defensive counterattack. Bang bang bang. After several passes, the football was delivered to the feet of center Peterson. With the ultimate cooperation of the Freiburg players, Peterson started at high speed and held the ball in Paderborn's penalty area like a nimble dancer. It caused chaos in Paderborn's defense. Bang! After passing the defensive player, Peterson suddenly shot a cold arrow in the penalty area. The football quickly emerged from the gap in the crowd and flew towards Paderborn's goal. At this distance, there are too many people standing in the penalty area. By the time Paderborn's goalkeeper reacted, it was too late to save. Sure enough, in the end, he made a diving save, and while he was still flying in the air, the football had already entered the net from his side. Hey, the ball went in. Freiburg defended its dignity at its home court and took the lead in opening the score, 1-0. The difference is actually not very big, but this can put a lot of pressure on Paderborn's players. Freiburg! Freiburg! With the loud shouts of Freiburg fans in the entire stadium, Freiburg's coaching bench head coach Dennis clenched his fists and jumped up excitedly, waving his arms to celebrate the first goal. Dennis, I have to admit that you know Feng very well. Bruns, Freiburg's original assistant coach, couldn't help but nodded, clapped his hands and praised Dennis as Verstrecke, who was demoted by Freiburg club to the team's assistant coach. Naturally, he couldn't bear this shame and humiliation. He directly applied for resignation to the club, and after the winter window ended, he went to serve as the head coach of another team. In this way, Freiburg club saved a huge amount of liquidated damages. This can be regarded as Strachey paying a corresponding price for what he did. After hearing Bruns' praise, Dennis did not pretend to be evasive modestly, but directly chatted with Bruns heart to heart. Ha, Mr. Bruns, I'm not kidding you. When Feng was struggling in Germany, I only watched one of his trial games and fell in love with his ability. I thought he would definitely have a bright future. He will become an excellent player, so it can be said that I, Dennis, gave him a chance to prove himself. As he said, Dennis couldn't help showing a trace of regret on his face. If it weren't for Strachey's guy, now Feng may be the main player of Freiburg's first team. However, although he is our opponent of Freiburg now, I am his mentor after all, and I am still very clear about his abilities. Dennis and Bruns, who were in a good mood, were still chatting about Feng in a relaxed manner, but suddenly, there was a burst of cheers on the Black Forest Stadium that made the two of them uncomfortable. Paderborn! 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 This is the cry of Paderborn fans for the team's wonderful performance. This means that Paderborn on the court at this moment will have a very exciting performance. As a result, Dennis and Bruns immediately escaped from their relaxed appearance and looked sharply towards their own half. Chapter 153. Unexpectedly, Feng scored with a header, on the field. At this moment, Paderborn was pressing forward with a large army, and Plikovic advanced with the ball and quickly organized an attack from the side. It seems that Gerald is nothing more than that. Dennis couldn't help but shook his head, as if denying the Paderborn coach. In this situation, you dare to let the wide players take the ball and pass it cross? Isn't this asking for a dead end? Feng was in that position, interfered by two defensive players, and had no way to catch the ball and shoot. Before Dennis could finish speaking, Plikovic, who was holding the ball, had already passed a defensive player in front of him and sent a cross towards the center. At this time, Freiburg's restricted area could only be said to be overcrowded. The small penalty area was filled with four Freiburg defenders, a defensive midfielder, and Paderborn's number 23 player, Feng. The football jumped high and slowly fell towards the center of the penalty area. As the height gets lower and lower, it can gradually be judged that the landing point of this cross is near the penalty spot. It's true that the point is very correct, but at the same time it's too correct in this position. Even if Feng goes for the top position, he will face at least two central defenders from Freiburg. But when the football is about to reach its predetermined position, Feng still sprinted ahead, jumped hard, and lifted his feet off the ground. Naturally, there were two central defenders from Freiburg who jumped up to fight for the top with him, but the next scene instantly ignited the atmosphere in the Black Forest Stadium spectator seats. Freiburg's two central defenders had a faint smile on their faces because they were attacking from both sides and occupying good positions at the same time. But when the height of Feng's jump appeared in front of their eyes, they suddenly realized that Feng's jump height was actually a head higher than them, and that's not the most terrible thing. The most terrible thing is that because Feng jumped too high, The joints of his two arms hit the Freiburg player's shoulders hard. The strong muscle strength made Freiburg's two defensive players feel that the internal organs in their chests were about to explode. Bang! A dull sound of body collision sounded. The Freiburg player who collided with Feng while taking off suddenly trembled and fell to the ground. The referee on duty, who was standing not far away, did not think there was anything inappropriate about the collision. Therefore, the game was not stopped with the two Freiburg defenders falling. Feng naturally relied on his strong ability to stay in the air and steadily win the ball. Bang! This time, because Feng had the blessing of Klinsmann's golden bomber star skills, he did not choose to stop the ball before making a breakthrough. Instead, he directly unfolded his body and hit the football hard with his head, changing the trajectory of the high-speed rotating football as if Klinsmann was possessed. Feng dived and hit him. The football was suddenly pushed to the ground by Feng. After rebounding, it missed the Freiburg goalkeeper and smashed directly into the goal. Hey, the ball went in. The referee on duty immediately blew his whistle and pointed toward the center circle, indicating that the goal was valid. In the stoppage time of the first half, it was Feng who stood up again, helped Paderborn regain the score. Paderborn. Paderborn? Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. In the spectator seats, Paderborn fans from afar celebrated loudly and fiercely. In the Freiburg coaching bench, head coach Dennis was frozen in place like a stone man. He had just finished speaking to Bruns next to him. Why did this happen? How is it possible? Dennis couldn't help but spread his hands, with a bit of disbelief in his eyes, and muttered to himself with his lips curled up. Feng is only 17 years old. How strong is his physical resistance? Can he knock over two strong men? Kämpfen. Go to hell. Go to hell. Boo stood aside. Lenz also frowned slightly, feeling incredible about the situation on the field. If we say that the team's new head coach Dennis is still a little unfamiliar with the team's players, he does not know the strength of Freiburg's two starting central defenders. Then Bruns, the assistant coach, knows it all too well. Players like Kämpfen, whose body muscles are extremely strong, would hardly suffer in physical confrontations on the field. But what is happening today? Why was he knocked away by a 17-year-old youngster from Paderborn? After a moment of pause, Bruns, who was in a daze, looked at Dennis with a worried face and said, "Mr. Dennis, if this momentum continues, the defensive tactics we have formulated may not be able to prevent Feng at all, right? It's unimaginable that he actually has an astonishing header ability." Dennis was confused for a moment. Know how to answer Bruns. Obviously, this was beyond his comprehension. In fact, Dennis was watching the videos of Feng's previous games, seeing that Feng's physical confrontation ability is indeed much stronger than in the first half of the season. But people will always make progress, right? Dennis only thought that Feng was gradually improving, and did not realize that his heading ability was so powerful. But in today's game, Feng's header ability really surprised everyone. However, this was not due to the fact that Feng originally exercised his muscles. A large part of the factor is due to Klinsmann's header. Don't worry, his physical resistance has indeed become stronger. Dennis frowned, and suddenly felt in his heart that Feng became much stranger in his eyes. But his header ability is not of the top level, otherwise how could it be shown now? In the second half, we will adjust the team's tactical strategy in time to make the offense more ferocious, as long as the advantage is always on our side. Just do it. Dennis had obviously quickly recovered from his violent state and returned to his role as the team's head coach. Right now, the most important thing is to lead Freiburg to win this game, not to discuss Feng's problem. And, for now, it's just that Feng's ability exceeded Dennis and Bruns' expectations before the game in Paderborn. Only Feng could stand up and help the team score key goals. The other players were almost invisible in this game. This situation doesn't look too bad. Beep. Then, the stoppage time of the first half was over. Soon players from both sides returned to their respective locker rooms from the field to rehydrate and rest. Of course, during the halftime break, there are also indispensable lectures from the head coaches of each team. Chapter 154. Offensive and defensive transition. Freiburg's door opens wide. Paderborn dressing room. Head coach Gerald quickly walked up to Feng with excitement on his face. "Boy, since when did you become so good at heading the ball?" Gerald hugged Feng into his arms with a happy face and patted his back. Then he patted his shoulder again with some disbelief, wanting to see how ridiculous his muscle strength was. When the feeling of the collision of muscles reached his hands, Gerald was sure that everything in front of him was not an illusion. Feng chuckled slightly and replied with some embarrassment, "It's not very strong. I just made a fool of myself." Gerald blinked, naturally not believing Feng's lies after all. He saw it with his own eyes when he knocked two Freiburg center-backs to the ground. When did you practice secretly behind my back? I didn't expect you to be able to master heading the ball so well so quickly, and your confrontational ability really alleviated the team's urgent need. Lol continued to praise Su Feng as the team's head coach. He is not as serious as some head coaches. Sometimes he can rely on his communication skills to get along with the players. He is not stingy with his own praise. Either the other Paderborn players, after the head coach spoke, naturally followed him and praised Su Feng's header in stoppage time in the first half. It was during the winter break that I was practicing blindly at home, head coach Gerald unexpectedly asked, and Su Feng also wanted to find an appropriate explanation. He certainly couldn't tell the secrets of the system directly, and everyone in the club knew what Su Feng was doing after daily training. He also passed the blame nicely to the time off. Did you practice blindly? Gerald showed a hint of surprise, shook his head, and continued, I can't believe it, Feng. Your abilities are getting more and more outstanding now. After saying this, Gerald turned around and adjusted his tactics after seeing Su Feng score a header. Told the other Paderborn players, didn't Freiburg all huddle in the middle to protect themselves from Feng? It's better now. Feng's physical confrontation ability and header ability are obvious to everyone. In the second half, Vidra, you can come from the wing. Organize the attack and spread the ball to the side. Percivic and Sagric rush in for me and cross the ball. Let the wind up Freiburg's goal and hit the football hard for me. Soon, the 15-minute half-time break was over. Players from both sides returned to the field again in the second half. Freiburg took the lead after the ball was served. Freiburg quickly organized an attack according to the tactics of coach Dennis, and the soldiers pressed forward to launch a wild bombardment of Paderborn's goal. If Paderborn captain Hunemeyer does not return, Freiburg's quick counterattacks can really pose a certain danger to Paderborn. But now, Hunemeyer is sitting in the backcourt, mobilizing Paderborn's defense in an orderly manner. Pay attention to defense. Keep an eye on Freiburg center. Keep an eye on Freiburg center. Don't give him a chance to catch the ball. Be careful when they hit you from behind. Hunemeyer stood in his defensive area, watching the 6 directions. Listen to all directions at the same time. He did not forget to loudly remind Paderborn's other defensive players to pay attention to Freiburg's attack. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. Under such organizational defense for a time, it was indeed difficult for Freiburg's offense to break through Paderborn's defense. The result was that Freiburg gave the ball to Paderborn, giving Paderborn many opportunities to defend and counterattack. 60 minutes into the game, Freiburg tried many times and finally slowly advanced the front line into the hinterland of Paderborn after receiving a pass from his teammate. Freiburg center Peterson cut inside and tried a goal from a small angle, but it is a pity that the quality of this shot is very poor. And it can be said that the ground is a bit weak. Hunemeyer suddenly appeared and was blocked from the outside of the baseline. Damn it, Peterson's several attacks were destroyed in time by Hunemeyer. This made him lose control of his emotions, and he actually cursed at Hunemeyer with all his teeth and claws. However, the game on the field at this time is an anxious time. The Paderborn players were switching to guard against Freiburg's corner kick and were not focusing on the bickering. Otherwise, some physical conflicts may break out between players from the two teams subsequently. Freiburg did not seize the corner kick opportunity. Instead, it gave Paderborn a chance to counterattack quickly. Bang bang bang. After several passes, the football was delivered to Su Feng's feet by other Paderborn players. At the moment, Su Feng is running wildly with the ball, and it is very likely that he will hide a single goal. Saw this scene, Dennis actually felt a little scared in his heart. Just kidding. Su Feng's scoring efficiency would not diminish much in the face of a tight defense nowadays. It is almost impossible for him to miss a good opportunity with a single shot. Quick. Get back on defense. Tactical foul. Tactical foul. Don't give him any chance, not even once. Dennis, standing in the coaching area, waved his hands quickly, urging Freiburg's defensive players to withdraw. A series of actions all showed his fear of Su Feng. After urging the Freiburg players, Dennis' eyes came to Su Feng again. This time, his expression was not only fear, but also a trace of panic. Soon, as Su Feng advanced with the ball, he had already traveled a long distance and arrived at Freiburg's penalty area. Faced with Su Feng's speed, Freiburg's defensive players, except for the captain center-back, were all left behind by Su Feng on the Freiburg goal line. German goalkeeper Schwallow stands here. His eyes were fixed on Su Feng, not daring to relax at all. As the number 1 goalkeeper who has followed the team's ups and downs for several years, his strength should not be underestimated. Moreover, he had done enough homework before the game and carefully analyzed Su Feng's various skills. If Su Feng suddenly used a cold arrow, he would naturally be very scared, but in a head-on confrontation, As long as it wasn't too unexpected, he still thought he could fight Su Feng. Bang! After easily getting rid of the interference of Freiburg's only defensive player, Su Feng chose a poke in the penalty area without hesitation. There was a crisp sound of the ball touching the ball, and the football suddenly lifted off the ground, flying towards the blind spot on the left side of the Freiburg goal. Schwallo's subconscious reflex was to throw himself at the flying football. Chapter 155. Leading, dead Freiburg fans. When Schwallow reflexively turned sideways to save, the football was already in front of him. Hey, what followed was a dull sound of the ball hitting the net. When the football completely hit the goal and raised the net, Schwallow fell heavily to the ground with a bitter look on his face. No doubt he overestimated his own strength, or underestimated Su Feng's ability. The Black Forest Stadium suddenly fell into dead silence. Whether it was the Freiburg players or the Freiburg fans in the audience, it was as if time had been suspended at this moment, and they were stunned. Freiburg, which had the advantage in the first half and sounded the horn of fierce attack in the second half, actually lost the ball so quickly in the second half. Moreover, from the perspective of others, Su Feng's shot was a little hasty. After all, a central defender from Freiburg was disturbing him just now. Feng. In the end, the deafening cheers of Paderborn fans broke the dead silence of the stadium and brought the stunned Freiburg players and fans back to reality. But from their confused eyes, you can still see that there is still a bit of disbelief. Paderborn takes the lead so quickly. Su Feng scored again. Is this Bundesliga top scorer really so outrageous? Counterattack quickly, throw out a single-handed ball, and hit Freiburg's goal with a kick. It has to be Su Feng. In the live broadcast room of No the Ball, the chief guest Zhang Jun was visibly excited at this moment. With a little shock in his eyes, this wonderful and quick counterattack by the players of their own country severely shattered the arrogance of Freiburg at home. It's really satisfying. It's so exciting. He couldn't help but shout loudly, venting his feelings of relief. If he wasn't commentating on the game in the live broadcast room, I'm afraid he would have used swear words to describe his excitement. I believe that in this game, under the leadership of Su Feng, Paderborn will definitely beat Freiburg towards the German second division championship trophy. At this time, although the players on the court were Su Feng, but every Chinese fan watching Su Feng's game in the live broadcast room of QQ.com all invisibly. They put themselves into Su Feng's perspective. Everyone was in the live broadcast room, venting their feelings of joy. Awesome. Su Feng. So what if Freiburg defends Su Feng to the death? Emperor Su, will still ruthlessly penetrate your goal. Paderborn, let me charge. Kill Freiburg. It is the pride of our China. The future of our Chinese football. On the court, Su Feng, who scored the goal, laughed and rushed towards the Paderborn fans area. While celebrating the goal, he thanked the fans and friends for their support, and behind him were naturally the other players from Paderborn. While the Paderborn players praised Su Feng, Freiburg's coaching area on the sidelines, Dennis walked back and forth in the area with an angry face, and at the same time raised his hands to vent his anger. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. Stretch is such a stupid guy. Originally, it was because of Stretch's demotion that Dennis was promoted to the head coach of the first team. Therefore, he rarely talked about Strakey's humiliation in public, but now, he really couldn't bear it. Strakey turned Su Feng, the player he once most admired, without his knowledge. He was loaned to Paderborn then. It would lead to Su Feng joining Paderborn and destroying Freiburg in the second half of this season. This feeling made Dennis feel like he was on fire and out of breath. For a moment, assistant coach Bruns, who saw this scene in his eyes, actually understood Dennis's feelings, but there was nothing he could do except comfort him at this time. Cheer up, okay? Dennis, we're still playing. Freiburg hasn't lost yet. There's still more than half an hour left in the game, and we can definitely tie the score. As the head coach, he can't be the first to fall down. He's the soul of the team. As long as he still has fighting spirit, the players on the field will have fighting spirit. After hearing this, Dennis slowly exhaled a breath and adjusted his mood. Bruns was right. Freiburg still had a chance, and he couldn't just give up. He wants to bring changes to the team. After adjusting his mentality, Dennis returned to his head coach status. Start taking advantage of the celebration time of Paderborn players to propose some strategies for changes to the players. Freiburg does need to attack at this time to win, but it cannot attack blindly. In that case, the same situation as before will occur. Let Freiburg's backcourt be wide open, allowing Su Feng to break through and shoot. Soon, the game resumed after Dennis's reprimand. The Freiburg players gradually adjusted their mentality, and the game returned to normal. Dennis also tried his best not to think about Su Feng and Stretch, and focused entirely on the game for the time being. On the field, Players from both sides once again entered into tense and exciting press. Paderborn's players, because they were ahead, suddenly felt a lot more confident in playing football. The 73rd minute of the game, Freiburg's defensive players withstood Paderborn's offensive pressure and kicked the offensive football out of the boundary in time. Paderborn's central midfielder arrived near the sideline in time, preparing to throw the sideline ball. Here, Paderborn's winger Sagrik, after receiving the ball from the sideline, had not taken a few steps with the ball. He immediately heard Su Feng's call for the ball from far away in the middle area. He raised his head and saw that Su Feng was already turning his back and preparing to catch the ball. Sagrik absolutely believed in Su Feng's ability, even without any bottom line. Rather than using his own hip-reaching shooting skills, he would rather feed Su Feng cakes and get assists on Su Feng. Bang! Without any hesitation, Sagrik kicked the ball to Su Feng. He immediately ran towards the wing, covering the edge to relieve Su Feng's pressure, and Freiburg's fullback actually gave up guarding Sagrik after taking a look at him, and instead rushed towards Su Feng. Bang! After catching the ball, Su Feng looked at the Freiburg fullback rushing towards him and showed a cunning smile. Then, he once again passed the ball straight to the advancing Sagrik, and he quickly turned around and rushed towards the Freiburg penalty area. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156. Disbanded. You are not worthy of wearing this jersey. Don't go too far back. Stop him. Don't leave any space in the ribs. Freiburg center-back captain shouted to the other teammates around him. Everyone can see Su Feng's shooting ability in front of the goal, so they must ensure that they cannot let other Paderborn players pass the ball through their ribs. In this case, Paderborn's offensive threat will become very small at most. Other wingers or midfielders can move forward and take long-range shots to break the game, but the Freiburg players will certainly not sit still and wait for Paderborn's long shot, even if the possibility of them scoring a long-range goal is very small. They need to constantly put pressure on them to ensure that nothing goes wrong. After hearing the Freiburg captain's instructions, other Freiburg defensive players immediately followed his request and retreated in an attempt to disrupt the connection between Su Feng and other Paderborn players in the penalty area. Su Feng had already started running, trying his best to get rid of the two followers around him at the same time. Yu Guang was always watching his teammates behind him, expecting the football to be passed successfully. The pressure gradually increased as the Freiburg defenders shrank away from Paderborn's ball carrier, but this situation is exactly what the Paderborn players want to see during the halftime break. Head coach Gerald analyzed the tactics of passing from the bottom to the bottom after dividing the sides. Right now, it's time to split the ball, and Su Feng is already in place. Bang! The Paderborn player with the ball, without any doubt, kicked the ball to Prejudice on the wing before the Freiburg player stretched his foot to press after receiving the ball. Prejudice did not pause. He stood up straight and kicked towards the position occupied by Su Feng. The football lifted off the ground and drew a beautiful arc in the air. What does this mean? Does Feng still want to score another goal with a header? Dennis's heart trembled in the coaching area on the sidelines, as he seemed to recall Su Feng's goal just now, but this feeling was fleeting because he didn't believe in Su Feng's header ability compared with the volleys he is good at. It seems that the header is really just the icing on the cake. An attempt at the right time. Dennis shook his head in the negative and stared at the football on the field again. I long for Freiburg's football to be successful, or just stop Su Feng from volleying without stopping the ball on the field. Looking at the football that was about to fall, Freiburg's two central defenders were slightly stunned. Su Feng beside them was already ready to fight for the top spot next. The two of them will have a head-to-head confrontation with Su Feng again, but the last fight for the top spot is still fresh in their minds. They feel that this Su Feng is a lunatic. The physical confrontation is ridiculously strong. Why does head coach Dennis still insist that we can still defend Su Feng? As soon as I thought about it, the football was about to reach the range where it could compete for the top spot. The two of them had to jump up again and try to compete for the top, but just before they jumped up, Su Feng naturally jumped up high. Not only did he jump higher, it was a bit higher than the two of them. What's even more terrifying is that Su Feng can actually stay in the air for so long, waiting until the football falls. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. The leaping Su Feng did not knock down two more Freiburg defenders this time, of course. Besides him not wanting to, there was another reason, that is, the quality of Prejudice's cross was not very good, and the position was slightly towards the Freiburg central defender. Soar into the sky. Su Feng put his hands on the shoulders of a central defender from Freiburg, and he was half taller than him. Another Freiburg central defender jumped up, his eyes widened, as if he had seen a terrifying scene. With such incredible physical fitness, he can actually jump so high. In the air, Feng moved his head back slightly, then jerked it forward. The football hit the forehead. Bang! A heavy collision sounded. The football changed direction and hit Freiburg's goal hard. Oh. Immediately, the entire Black Forest Stadium heard the voices of fans in amazement. Their eyes, mixed with various emotions, focused on the football and followed the football towards the goal. On the Freiburg goal line, Feng suddenly headed the goal. Schwallow was slightly startled, and his wide eyes proved that he was also a little scared. Then, he immediately raised his hands in an attempt to keep the header away. However, from the moment he was stunned, it meant that he couldn't save the ball. The football passed between Schwallow's hands and the goal frame and hit the Freiburg goal. The ball went in again. In this game, Feng successfully performed a hat trick. One person scored 3 goals, and the Freiburg players who were still confident of winning were stunned. After hitting the football in the air, Feng fell from the air onto the football field. Although there is a slight pain, it is not worth mentioning compared to the joy of scoring a ball. After getting up from the ground, Feng's face was filled with the joy of scoring, and he sprinted towards the sidelines to celebrate the goal with his teammates. The Freiburg players who were still in shock were left behind. However, in the spectator seats, the expressions on the faces of the Freiburg fans at this time are the same as those of the Freiburg players, even a lot more frustrating. Freiburg, which originally had the advantage at home, temporarily took the lead in the first half, but as the game time goes by, Freiburg is taking great strides towards losing the game step by step. This made the fans who came to support Freiburg feel on the verge of collapse. Disband. I really don't know, what's the use of such a lineup? The frustrated Freiburg fans gradually vented their emotions. A lineup worth tens of millions of euros was blown away by a young player who was given away for 2 million euros. This is really the biggest joke in German football in the 21st century. I thought Dennis would be able to bring something to the team after he took office. What about some changes? Who knows, it will still be the same. Next season, if they are lucky enough to be promoted to the Bundesliga, they'd better reorganize the lineup quickly. They don't deserve to play in the Bundesliga. No, they don't even deserve to wear this jersey. Chapter 157. Dennis concerns. A desperate fight of use was heard outside the venue. Dennis immediately lowered his head in shame, trying to find a crack in the ground to crawl into standing in his position. He must withstand the pressure of public opinion from fans. However, is this pressure a bit too much? The warship Freiburg was already on the cusp of the storm. Today's fan pressure may really make the team chairman reorganize the team under the pressure of public opinion at any time. If this is the case, then his head coach will definitely be placed at the top of the list of purges. Dennis showed a hint of melancholy in his eyes. After sighing, he said to the assistant coach Bruns beside him, "In this situation, it's better to let the team give it a try and fight for the last bit of dignity at home." Bruns, can you understand what I mean? Bruns nodded after hearing this. He is not a fool, and he naturally knows that Freiburg is facing the pressure of public opinion from the fans. We must try our best to equalize the score, and at least take away a dignified point at the Black Forest Stadium. Go and arrange Alger, Andre, and Manstein to play. Freiburg can lose, but it can only be lost on the offensive road, Bruns said without a smile, and turned around silently to deal with what Dennis told him as an assistant coach. He has stayed with the first team even longer than Dennis, so he can naturally feel Dennis's mood at the moment. Soon, with a game dead ball, the fourth official raised the substitution card, and Freiburg made 3 substitutions. Substitute 2 defensive midfielders and a central defender, switching to a 3-4-3 formation. 4 offensive midfielders are always on standby, ready to move forward at any time and deal a fatal blow to Paderborn. Freiburg backcourt. Feng raised his head and looked at the direction of Alger's appearance, feeling a little complicated in his heart in this game. His youth training classmates stood opposite him and became his opponents due to the matchup. Feng may have a lot of contact with him in the next 10 minutes. This kind of contact can't help but remind him of his time in Freiburg U17, but this game is very important to him in Paderborn. No matter who is standing in front of him, he will help Paderborn win the game. The 83rd minute of the game. After Freiburg's substitutions, the situation on the field improved significantly. Many times, the ball was on Freiburg's side, but because it was the last minute, the players on both sides did not retain their remaining physical strength. Instead, they ran as hard as they could and worked hard for the goal in their hearts. This resulted in the originally slow-paced game gradually becoming more lively. The players from both sides pressed hard, Almost back and forth, the referee on duty also transformed into card master and frequently distributed topaz cards to players on both sides of the court who committed fouls. Obviously, he does not allow anyone to cross his bottom line at the last moment of the game. Bang! At the 85th minute of the game, Alger, who came on as a substitute, was full of energy and promptly stole the football in the midfield. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. Immediately passed a long overhead pass to Peterson on the front line. Peterson's sense of smell in front of the goal is also extremely sharp during tense moments when Alger stepped forward to steal the ball. He was originally in an offside position, but he guessed the young player Alger's thinking behind handling the ball, so he made an anti-offside run just before the football was passed. Then, Peterson successfully countered offside, brought the ball into the penalty area, and completed a high-quality blast. Hey, the football flew into Paderborn's goal, winning cheers from the Freiburg fans. If Paderborn scores the first goal in the following period, it will almost be declared that Freiburg lost to Paderborn at home, but at this time, Freiburg was the first to enter. They brought the score back to 3-2. It can be said that there is still a chance to tie. This gave the Freiburg fans hope. No one left the field early. They all sat back patiently and cheered for Freiburg. After scoring this goal, Peterson did not celebrate too much. He hurriedly came to the Paderborn goal, took the football out, and ran towards the midfield at the same time. Paderborn's players were urged to serve quickly at this time. Paderborn's head coach Gerald also made substitution adjustments. He replaced Plikovic, who was almost physically strong, and replaced him with a central defender, switching to 5-3-2 formation, prepared to stand firm in the last 10 minutes and use the safest method to wait for Paderborn to win this game soon. The game returned to normal. Hurry up. Set the edge. Set the edge. In the last few minutes, equalize the game. On the sidelines, Freiburg head coach Dennis was also inspired by Freiburg's goal just now, and seemed to see the hope of winning the game. Therefore, when he organized the attack in Freiburg, he has been standing in the coaching area, dancing and directing the team's offense. To be honest, the Freiburg players played really well in the last few minutes. It put great pressure on Paderborn's defense, but fortunately, Paderborn retreated and defended in an orderly manner and did not allow Freiburg to have a great opportunity. A high-intensity offense can indeed pose a threat to the opponent at such a critical moment and have the opportunity to equalize and counterattack, but high returns mean high risks. Freiburg's army pressed forward, exposing the space in their backcourt. Sure enough, in the 88th minute of the game, a very dangerous pass from Freiburg was intercepted by Paderborn's defensive players. Suddenly, the situation on the field suddenly changed. Vidra made a 45-degree diagonal pass and sent the ball directly to Feng, who was standing in the Freiburg half. After receiving the ball, Feng glanced at the Freiburg defensive players around him from the corner of his eye, then strode straight towards Freiburg's entry area. At this moment, the Freiburg defensive player closest to him had just reacted and got up to chase after him, and what's waiting for him is Feng's ruthless rainbow prowess. Bang! After passing two people, Feng came to the Freiburg penalty area with the ball. After simply adjusting his position, Feng hit the bottom of the football hard with the instep of his outside foot without hesitation. Hey, a dull collision sounded, and the football raised Freiburg's net high. This sound is like the horn of death, pronouncing Freiburg's death sentence. Chapter 158. Big Fourth. Bundesliga title and suspense. Big Four, Feng's Big Four. This is the first time in history for a Chinese player to play in the Bundesliga. Live broadcast room on the net. The excited Zhang couldn't help but raise his hands excitedly, and his hoarse voice couldn't hide his excitement at all. I believe that after this game, more people around the world will remember Feng's name. At the same time, let us congratulate Paderborn in advance for winning this highlight of the Bundesliga league. At this point, there are only a few minutes of stoppage time before the end of the game. At this juncture, if the score is 3-2 and the difference is not too big, a draw may indeed occur, but at present, Feng changed the score to 4-2. Are you still longing for the Freiburg players to score 2 goals in a row at the last minute? This is obviously almost impossible to happen, so almost many fans, like Zhang, believed in advance that Paderborn had won this game. Guided by this thought, many Freiburg fans slowly stood up with regret and anger in their eyes. They left the Black Forest Stadium with a disappointed pace. The Paderborn fans cheered and shouted from the spectator stands over and over again. It seems that they want to leave the name of their team hero Feng in the sky above the Black Forest Stadium soon. Vidra's high ball flew into the stands. Beep. The referee on duty blew the whistle that officially ended the game. Freiburg lost to Paderborn at home in this game. which means that Freiburg has almost no chance to compete for the Bundesliga championship. That's great, Feng. You have completed your 4th birthday. We are really expected to win the Bundesliga championship this season. The whistle sounded at the end of the game. Paderborn's players rushed towards Feng excitedly, preparing to celebrate the victory with the team's biggest hero. Even the substitute players sitting on the sidelines rushed forward at this moment. At this time, Feng won the game. But he didn't seem particularly excited. He waved his hand at his teammates who were rushing over, indicating that he would not participate in the celebration. Then he turned around and walked towards the frustrated Freiburg players. As you know, Feng used to play football in Freiburg U17. Captain Hunemeyer was keenly aware of Feng's intention to go to the Freiburg players and stop the other players in time. His former good friend seems to have come on the bench today. Feng should be comforting his friend now, so we shouldn't disturb him. When the other Paderborn players heard this, they all stopped. Then he followed Hunemeyer towards the corner area and thanked the Paderborn fans who came from afar. The other side, Feng slowly walked to Alger's side and put his arm around his shoulder, just like Alger holding his arm when he first arrived at Freiburg U17. Alger, I'm sorry that Freiburg lost this game. This may prevent you from winning the Bundesliga championship this season. Alger, who had his head lowered, heard Feng's words. After speaking, he raised his head. A bleak smile appeared on his frustrated face. Speaking of this game, after he came on as a substitute, he still did not change the team's fate of failure. He did feel regretful. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. After being stunned for a few seconds, Alger chuckled. Feng, you don't need to apologize to me. In sports competition, food is the original sin. In this game, you completed the 4th victory alone, and you are more worthy of winning this game than any of us. As he said, Alger gently hit his chest. I didn't expect that. I have been following in your footsteps, but you are now so strong. I'm afraid you will go to the 5 major leagues soon, right? I still don't know when I will get a chance to start in the Bundesliga too. Alger's tone couldn't help but reveal a somewhat feeble feeling. Maybe his career is more like the experience of a teenager who loves football. Feng couldn't help but imagine that if he didn't have the blessing of the system, he might rely on his own talent. Even Alger's current achievements can't be achieved, right? So, it's not that Alger is not an excellent football genius, he's just a little inferior compared to his systematic self, right? Alger, you are only 18 years old and you have become a first-team player in the Bundesliga league. Doesn't this prove your talent? As long as you keep working hard, I believe that it won't be long before you will also become a player. The starting player of the team is standing in the 5 major leagues. Alger nodded secretly, but did not reply. Feng was not in a hurry, so he accompanied him and walked to the sidelines with him. Then, Alger seemed to think about it. He doesn't need to surpass Feng, he just needs to keep working hard, follow Feng's footsteps, keep moving forward, and surpass himself. His goal has always been to join the first team with Feng and win glory for the team. When did he become more than Feng? Now, Feng can become the team's best player, then you can do it yourself. Feng? Thank you. Alger looked at Feng sincerely. In the future, I will also become the best player like you. Seeing Alger's heart, the knot seemed to be untied, and a satisfied smile filled Feng's face. Football is a team sport, and the success of every team cannot depend on one person on the road of growth. Feng, who turned out to be a close friend of the team, will be an indelible mark on Feng's career. It used to be Alger and Hardy, and now it is Hunemeyer, Vidra. These friends, no matter what arena Feng will stand in and sweat in the future, he hopes that these friends will have a better life as future. Of course, if given the chance, he would still like to continue to be teammates with them. After talking to Alger, the two returned to the team's locker room. What awaits Feng is naturally Gerald's award and a celebration with his teammates, but Alger is different. All Freiburg players will welcome Dennis's violent temper in the locker room. After this game, the 29th round of the Bundesliga 2 will come to an end. At this time, Freiburg, although with 57 points, ranked 3rd in the Bundesliga 2, but Paderborn and Red Bull Leipzig, who are ahead of them, are 7 and 8 points higher than them respectively. There are only 5 games left in the Bundesliga this season. Even if Freiburg wins these 5 games, as long as Paderborn and RB Leipzig do not suffer too many defeats, then Freiburg is not qualified to compete for the Bundesliga championship. What's more, currently, Paderborn and RB Leipzig are both in much better shape than Freiburg. In the remaining 5 games, it is impossible to lose too much. Therefore, the suspense of the Bundesliga championship will only appear between Paderborn and Red Bull Leipzig. Chapter 159. Subsequent obstacles. Another battle with Leipzig Red. Just when Paderborn players were taking the bus back to the training center, The German sports media reporters naturally reported the battle between Freiburg and Paderborn again. Feng performs his 4th birthday. Freiburg almost missed the Bundesliga title this season. The biggest dark horse of Bundesliga 2 this season. Check in for Paderborn's title-winning journey. Who will win the Bundesliga 2 championship this season? What are Paderborn's chances of winning? Soon, news reports about Paderborn's victory over Freiburg and Feng's 4th victory quickly became popular in Germany. Fans and friends also discussed the ownership of the German 2nd Division championship in the news comment area currently. RB Leipzig is only 1 point ahead of Paderborn, however, with a blessing of Feng, who is expected to break the German 2nd Division scoring record. Many fans are still more optimistic about Paderborn in the next game. Paderborn will play Red Bull Leipzig. The other opponents are all teams in the middle and lower reaches of the league, so there is nothing to worry about. Therefore, it is a crucial match that can determine the Bundesliga championship. It was the 31st round of the Bundesliga 2. Paderborn's away game against Red Bull Leipzig. Who can win this game? Then the winning team can almost win the Bundesliga championship trophy. For the rest of this period, it can be said that all members of Paderborn Football Club have entered a state of combat readiness. Daily training is both hard and fearful of key players getting injured, and Paderborn fans also held carnivals in the past few days. Perhaps this is Paderborn's closest opportunity to the Bundesliga title in so many years. Time flies. April 16th, Paderborn will face FSV Frankfurt at home. Currently ranked 3rd from the bottom in the league, this team still has some connections with Paderborn. They drew with Paderborn and qualified for Frankfurt. However, they originally hoped to successfully avoid relegation this season and have a derby with fellow city Frankfurt next season. Judging from the current situation, Frankfurt's chances of being relegated from the Bundesliga are high, and FSV Frankfurt seems to be about the same, although it is currently ranked 3rd from the bottom in the Bundesliga 2. The points difference between the last few in the standings is not very big. Moreover, FSV Frankfurt challenged Paderborn away from home. To be honest, they themselves don't believe they can get a point. Don't they know the reason why they were able to draw an upset draw with Paderborn last time? Now, facing the complete Paderborn, FSV Frankfurt's chance of drawing again is almost slim, and the result of the facts is exactly like this. Paderborn is at the Benteler Arena at home, and the fans are waving flags and shouting extra hard. The players did not disappoint, defeating FSV Frankfurt with a hearty 3-1 victory. And on the same day, Red Bull Leipzig challenged Sandhausen away and also took 3 points. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. Things are just as the major media speculated. Paderborn and Red Bull Leipzig really need a big battle if they want to decide the winner. These days, Feng is still following other players in daily training step by step. Of course, he did not neglect his special training during offline time, and, as time went by, Feng also discovered the Black Star skills he acquired have given him blessings in a certain aspect, so he only needs to train repeatedly in daily training. Then his attributes in this area will increase very quickly. For example, Feng's current heading ability has quickly increased from 71 to 78. It is estimated that before long, he will have one more ability, surpassing the 80 mark. Some people may be confused since Feng already has the Black Star skills of Van Persie's volley and Klinsmann's golden bomber. Why does he need to improve the related attribute points without him? Every time he touches the ball on the field, it is not a shot. For example, Feng may sometimes need to use a header to fight for the top, or pass the ball in the air to feed his teammates. At this time, this Black Star skill is not particularly easy to use. Moreover, Feng was unwilling to constantly rely on these external skills to improve his abilities. He hopes that when he becomes stronger, he can rely on his own ability to make a difference on the green field. The next Bundesliga 2 championship match, it can be said that all fans who are paying attention are looking forward to it. Not only the German fans, but also the fans and friends as far away as China. There are many middle-aged men who do not forget to mention this highlight of the Bundesliga league when they are fishing. If not, their wives would not allow them to travel to Europe to watch the game live. I am afraid that many senior Chinese fans want to be there to witness the day when Chinese players win the Bundesliga championship trophy. The Paderborn fans are much luckier than the Chinese fans. Germany is not a vast territory, and it is not that far from Paderborn to Leipzig. Therefore, as long as they can get tickets for this game, it can be said that Paderborn fans will choose to watch the game live without hesitation. There are even some crazy fans who, even if they cannot enter the stadium to watch the game, will wave the Paderborn flag and cheer for the team outside the stadium. No matter how slow the pace of time is, as long as it flows forward, the day will come. And today, April 23rd, it was the 31st round of the Bundesliga 2. Paderborn's away game against Red Bull Leipzig early in the morning. Paderborn's bus left Paderborn's training center. What caught the eye was the greeting from the Paderborn fans. Come on, Paderborn, fuck RB Leipzig, winning the first Bundesliga Champions League in team history. Countless Paderborn fans were excited. He shouted to the Paderborn players on the bus, shouting out his expectations for them in the bus. Feng sat by the car window and witnessed what the Paderborn fans did. To be honest, as a Chinese player, he was very envious of what he saw in front of him in China. This kind of football atmosphere is rarely seen, not to mention, in some countries. After the team won the World Cup, fighter jets escorted the team, the plane passed through the Watergate, and the whole country celebrated. But seeing the enthusiastic celebration of the people of Paderborn, Feng's heart was filled with passion for winning the championship. Chapter 160. Halftime collapse. Leipzig Red Bull scored 2 goals in a row. April 23, in the Leipzig Basin. The home stadium of Red Bull Leipzig is packed with people, and tens of thousands of home team fans have long been looking forward to this battle. 7:30 p.m., under the cheers of the fans at the scene, the starting players of both sides stepped onto the court one after another. Now the entire home ground of Red Bull Leipzig reached its peak. Kill Paderborn, Red Bull Leipzig is the champion, no team can stop us, victory belongs to Red Bull Leipzig, we are the champions. It can be seen that the Leipzig Red Bull fans are still full of confidence in tonight's game. China. In the live broadcast room of KingQ.com, Zhang Jun said in his iconic hoarse voice, the focus battle of the 30th round of the Bundesliga league is about to begin. Red Bull Leipzig is currently ranked first in the league, and they are 1 point ahead of second-placed Paderborn. For both teams, this game will be crucial. At this time, Huey also interjected, in the first round of the match between the two teams, Leipzig Red Bull used a score of 3-1 resulted in a hearty victory. I think tonight is also a battle of revenge for the Paderborn players. At this moment, the players from both sides shook hands with each other. The war has officially begun. Red Bull Leipzig, which is at home, is full of fighting spirit in terms of morale. As soon as the game started, Leipzig Red Bull chose to press heavily, especially their two full-backs, who frequently pressed forward and almost formed a siege on Paderborn's goal. On the bench, Paderborn head coach Gerald also immediately asked the players to retreat to half-court defense as much as possible. Let's stabilize the situation first and then talk about anything else. Offensive players, including Feng, also retreated to the half-court to participate in defense. Paderborn has set up a barrel formation. It must be said that Gerald's tactics worked. This prevented Leipzig Red Bull's offense from finding a very good opportunity most of the time. RB Leipzig made more ineffective passes occasionally. Paderborn was able to get a few counter-attack opportunities, but because they invested too few troops, they did not pose a threat to the opponent's goal. Gradually the game time is running out little by little. Throughout the first half of the game, it was Leipzig players who dominated the offense. It's a pity that Leipzig's offense only thundered. Not Rain didn't even get a good shooting opportunity, so much so that there was a slight problem with the players' mentality. Quietly, the game time has reached the 40th minute of the first half. Finally, the tirelessly attacking Leipzig Red Bull got an excellent opportunity. In order to increase the number of attackers as much as possible, the Leipzig coach began to order the fullbacks to press up and open up as much space as possible. This is a successful tactic. Seeing that there was no chance, the Leipzig Red Bull midfielder decisively passed a ball to the pressing full back. The latter faced interference from Paderborn players and forced a cross. Bang! The football drew a graceful arc in the air and landed steadily in the small penalty area. At the same time, Leipzig Red Bull center Duke jumped high, trying to rely on his own jumping ability to take the lead and make a header. Unfortunately, he miscalculated at the critical moment. Paderborn captain Hunemeyer stood up, take the lead and had the ball to save. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. The football landed at the top of the penalty area. It's a pity that there is no Paderborn player to defend in this position. Leipzig's number 8 defensive midfielder directly faced a ball and shot. Tian, a heavy shot broke through and successfully opened Paderborn's goal. 1-0. RB Leipzig scored first. Leipzig. 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 For a time, the entire Red Bull Arena stands were boiling. After the restart, RB Leipzig players did not stop attacking. Only 2 minutes passed. Player number 8, who had just scored a goal, suddenly sent a through ball after receiving a pass from his teammate in the midfield. A sharp scalpel-like pass instantly tore Paderborn's defense apart. Leipzig Red Bull forward number 9 Duke received the football and immediately shot it. The football flew into the goal again. In 2 minutes, Red Bull Leipzig scored 2 goals in a row, instantly blinding Paderborn. The Red Bull Arena once again erupted into enthusiastic cheers and shouts. Every Leipzig fan had an excited smile on their face on the Leipzig bench. Head coach Lott also waved his fists excitedly. feeling proud of his players from the bottom of his heart. Hey, it's really a pity. Near the end of the first half, Paderborn's defense made two fatal mistakes, which directly ruined the efforts of the first 40 minutes. Huey's tone was full of unwillingness. After Leipzig players scored the second goal, the first half of the game came to an end. Red Bull Leipzig, playing at home, entered the halftime break with a score of 2-0. Huago and IQ.com immediately released a halftime report, conceded 2 goals in half. Paderborn trail leader Leipzig 2-0. The suspense of the championship is over? Leipzig shows off its power at home. Scored 2 goals before halftime. Paderborn's defense encountered a short circuit and conceded 2 goals in 3 minutes. 15 minutes later, the game changed sides in the second half. From the first minute of the second half, Paderborn firmly took control of the game and the tactical deployment. Just before halftime, head coach Gerald asked the players to focus more on the wings. After all, in the first half of the game, Leipzig Red Bull team added offensive players through the wings, thus breaking the rhythm of the game. So Gerald decided to copy the guard right from the start of the game. Paderborn's players began to make fuss on the wing soon. The football came to Plekovic's feet. The player immediately dialed the football and began his personal breakthrough performance on the left wing. Plekovic continued to rely on changes in rhythm to force a breakthrough from the Leipzig Red Bull fullback. This player strode forward with the ball like a meteor, and after a while, he successfully dribbled the ball near the baseline. But just when Plekovic was about to break through the opponent's penalty area along the baseline, Leipzig midfielder Dem immediately destroyed Plekovic's ball with his big foot. The football flew directly out of the baseline. Paderborn gets a corner kick. In the stands, Leipzig Red Bull fans also applauded the team's defense at this moment. Leipzig Red Bull is in the penalty area. 2 burly central defenders appeared on the left and right sides of Feng. Don't give Feng any chance at all. Chapter 161. Scored 2 goals in a row to tie the game. Before this game, Leipzig Red Bull also watched a lot of Feng's game videos, and they knew very well how good Feng's shooting ability was. Therefore, the head coach of Leipzig Red Bull also specifically asked the 2 central defenders to guard Feng. Both central defenders are over 185 centimeters tall and have rich defensive experience, but nevertheless in this corner kick attack, Feng still successfully grabbed the first point. The landing point for our teammates passes the front post. After Feng ran an arc in the penalty area in advance, he suddenly circled to the front point. At the same time, the 2 central defenders of Leipzig Red Bull did not dare to be careless and tried their best to interfere with Feng. Unfortunately, it's still a step too late. Feng took the lead and successfully grabbed the spot before the 2 central defenders. The ball has arrived and the people have arrived. After Feng jumped suddenly, he used a lion toss his head and steadily smashed the football into the Leipzig Red Bull goal. The speed was so fast that the 2 central defenders behind him could only watch the ball. In a moment, the football perfectly broke through the fingers of the Leipzig Red Bull goalkeeper, Tian. 2-1. This Klinsmann Golden Bomber's header ability is indeed awesome. The football was like a cannonball, hitting the goal hard. At this moment, the Leipzig Red Bull goalkeeper could only watch the ball inside. Without any solution, the moment Feng scored, the entire Red Bull arena was silent, and the faces of the Leipzig fans were filled with incredible expressions. How is this possible? This guy headed the ball so fast. How did he do it? Damn it. This kid actually scored a goal. Is Leipzig's defense sleepwalking? RB Leipzig pitchside head coach Lott's eyes were full of despair, and he could hardly believe what had just happened. And on the bench at Paderborn, head coach Gerald was extremely excited. He waved his fist excitedly on the sidelines. Good shot. Well done. Feng, Huago and IQ.com were in the live broadcast room. Zanjun shouted into the microphone with his very unique hoarse voice. We have the ball. It's Feng. After a ghostly movement, he successfully bypassed the 2 central defenders and scored with a header. Feng helped Paderborn regain a victory. The score is 2-1. After the restart, the pressure of the game gradually came to the Leipzig Red Bull players. Playing at home, 2-1 is a pretty settled score for Leipzig Red Bull. They must now make it clear whether they will attack with all their strength or shrink in defense in the next game if all players are not able to unify their thinking. It is very likely that the ball will be conceded. It turns out head coach Lott did not issue tactics but continue to let the players play freely on the court. 60 minutes of the game, RB Leipzig began to attack aggressively. It seems that the Leipzig Red Bull team playing at home still wants to continue to expand the score, and they do not feel the danger coming on the wing. Sunet, the number 7 player, started his offensive performance. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. This player is very quick with the ball, a quick move with his left foot. and then he used his speed advantage to get rid of Paderborn's fullback in an instant. After completing the breakthrough, Sunet glanced at the penalty area and found that forward Duke had begun to accelerate, so the Leipzig Red Bull winger made a prompt decision and quickly passed the football into the penalty area. Penalty spot location. Duke originally wanted to grab the ball and attack the goal, but Paderborn's captain Hunemeyer defended at the critical moment and successfully completed the clearance before Duke. This time, after Duke learned from the mistakes of the first half, he did not push the football toward the penalty area line, but pushed it to the wing Plikovic, who returned to defense. Controlled the football. This is a good opportunity to fight back. After receiving the football, Plikovic immediately rushed towards the opponent's half. RB Leipzig pitchside head coach Lott's face instantly became tense. He quickly directed the players on the field and asked to stop Plikovic's progress as soon as possible, but Plikovic dribbled the ball too fast. 3 times 5 divided by 2. He had already brought a ball to the front court at the same time. In the penalty area, Feng was already in place. Plikovic did not hesitate and sent the cross decisively at the first opportunity moment. The football quickly entered the penalty area. It's just that this time, Plikovic paid too much attention to the passing speed, so that there was a deviation in accuracy. The football did not fall on Feng's head. Instead, the center-back of Leipzig Red Bull completed the clearance. After seeing this scene, Feng didn't hesitate at all, and immediately took a step back. It has to be said that Feng's judgment in the football placement is quite accurate. After the opponent's defender headed the ball to clear the ball, the football landed right in front of Feng on the line of the penalty area. This is a good opportunity for Feng to shoot, and just enough to score with a half-volley shot. Feng didn't hesitate. He immediately raised his bow and knocked an arrow. Before the football even hit the ground, Feng volleyed it with his right foot. Next second, with thunderous momentum, the football tore through the entire Leipzig Red Bull team's defense in an instant and headed straight for the goal. The RB Leipzig goalkeeper didn't even make any saves. This moment the Leipzig Red Bull goalkeeper was stunned as if he had been tapped by a martial arts master. It's Feng's goal again, 2-2. Feng scored twice to help Paderborn equalize the score. This is Feng's iconic volley shot, and Leipzig's defense made a mistake, a huge mistake. No player was marking Feng in the penalty area, which made it too easy for Feng to get a shot. As soon as Zunjun finished speaking, his partner He Wei couldn't help but said, "This is called shooting. It is really exciting." A volley successfully tore through the defense of Leipzig Red Bull. The goalkeeper did not even make any interference. This is enough to show how terrifying Feng's shooting speed is. Now 2 goals. The team score has returned to the starting point. Paderborn is really resilient and managed to tie against the wind, said Thabaraj in the live broadcast room of the website. The Chinese fans watching the live broadcast were naturally extremely excited. They all smashed the keyboard and praised Feng's performance crazily. God, Su is coming. As long as Feng is given a chance, Feng can create miracles. Continue to attack at this pace. Beat Red Bull Leipzig. Is Feng too strong, or is Leipzig's defense too bad? Chapter 162. Hat trick, final victory, Red Bull Arena, away stand area. Hundreds of Paderborn fans came from afar, with excited smiles on their faces, hysterical shouting, "Ah, Paderborn, Paderborn, Feng, Feng, Feng." Paderborn fans saw the dawn of victory, and every fan was full of confidence in Feng's personal abilities. They believe that victory will belong to Feng in Paderborn. At this moment, the huge Red Bull Arena seems to have become Paderborn's home stadium. Pressure is on every Leipzig player. Leipzig coaching bench head coach Lott quickly regained his senses. He did not sit still and shouted to his players, "Attack! Attack! Control the damn football under your feet and don't give your opponent any chance. Control. Rhythm." Red Bull Leipzig is a team that focuses on possession of the ball. Head coach Lott naturally hopes that his disciples can firmly control football during this period of time. In his opinion, there is still enough time in the game. As long as his players can find the rhythm of the game again, Leipzig Red Bull can take the lead again. At this time, Lott did not realize the seriousness of the problem currently. The biggest problem facing Red Bull Leipzig is not offense, but defense. To be more precise, it was Feng's defense. Almost every Paderborn attack was able to put pressure on RB Leipzig's goal, and in the first 15 minutes of the second half, one Feng player scored 2 goals, which is enough to show that Feng is in terrible condition. If Leipzig Red Bull did not interfere with Feng, it would only be a matter of time before Feng scored his 3rd goal. After the restart, RB Leipzig chose to focus on me. Coach Lott insisted on asking all his disciples to attack, but Paderborn now and the first half have become 2 teams. After Feng scored 2 goals in a row, Paderborn players have regained their morale. Therefore, Every Paderborn player is working hard on the defensive end. The most important thing is that Paderborn's offense, the desire is stronger. The 73rd minute of the game, Red Bull Leipzig pressed hard and formed a siege towards Paderborn's goal. Players, including the two full-backs, pressed forward one after another, bang bang bang. After several passes, the football finally landed at the feet of the left back. The Leipzig Red Bull players in the remaining positions were firmly restricted by the Paderborn players, and there was no chance of a breakthrough at all. The only area where you can make a fuss is on the wings. After the fullback received the ball, he suddenly sent a pass without anyone guarding him. However, this is not a high ball pass. Instead, he sent a diagonal ball. The football instantly appeared in the ribs of Paderborn's penalty area. This is a good opportunity. Player number 8 appears in this position keenly after he took control of the football. He did not choose to shoot immediately, but continued to cross. Crucial pass. The football just rolled at Duke's feet as the team's leading forward. Duke also wants to imitate Feng, who shoots directly without stopping the ball. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. Although the idea is good, Duke's shooting ability is really not flattering. Football was played directly on the sidelines. Paderborn captain Hunemeyer cleverly completed the big-footed clearance. In the end, Red Bull Leipzig's attack came to nothing after the football was controlled by Paderborn midfielder Vidra. The player was immediately handed over to Feng in the center. Paderborn's counterattack has officially begun. Hurry up and help defend. Don't let the Chinese have a chance to break through. At this moment, the team's head coach Lot was particularly excited. He vaguely felt that Paderborn's counterattack would threaten the goal. He quickly asked his disciples to interfere with Feng as soon as possible, but it's too late. Before the Leipzig Red Bull defenders arrived, Feng had already taken the lead and sent a long pass. In an instant, the football appeared perfectly at the feet of forward Sagrik. In this game, Sagrik also got a chance to play in the penalty area. Sagrik used his strong body to take the lead in leaning against the Leipzig Red Bull defender and then suddenly turned around. Then, with lightning speed, he took the lead and completed the shot. One thing to say, Sagrik's shot still had 2 brushes. It was called a heavy artillery attack, and it really threatened the opponent's goal. Fortunately, at the critical moment, the Leipzig Red Bull goalkeeper was more focused and in a hurry. He used his own hands to save Sagrik's shot in just 3 minutes. The two teams, Red Bull Leipzig and Padmin, also created threats to the opponent's goal during this period. Both sides' offense was extremely hot. The game has entered the last 10 minutes, which is a critical time point. Whoever can score at this stage will win the game. As the team that once took the lead, Coach Roth naturally hoped that his players could score in the final stage, but unfortunately, Red Bull Leipzig had no way to open Paderborn's goal as time went on. The mentality of every Leipzig Red Bull player gradually became anxious, and this anxious mentality directly affects the player's performance in the final period. Leipzig Red Bull made continuous passing errors, which instead gave Paderborn a chance in this game tonight. Paderborn coach Gerald has always focused on defense. He requires his disciples to stabilize their mentality as much as possible, and then conserve their physical fitness to deal a fatal blow to the opponent at the last moment. Now, it's Paderborn's turn to step up. Suddenly Paderborn's midfielders started a high-pressure press. Multiple defensive players appeared in front of the Leipzig players who were dribbling the ball at the same time. Like a pack of wolves preying on prey, they quickly completed the midfield steal. Then midfielder number 8 Plekovic took control of the football and passed the ball. Bang! The football quickly landed in the penalty area. At this time, center forward Sagrik and Leipzig's center back took off at the same time. However, neither of these two players hit the football. Instead, Feng, who was ambushing at the back point, got the chance. Facing the ball after Feng glanced at the Leipzig Red Bull goalkeeper's position, he decisively raised his foot and fired angrily. In an instant, the football flew over the goalkeeper's head in a flash of lightning and flew steadily into the goal. Tian. The score has been rewritten, 3-2. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163. Win the key battle for the championship. The last 3 rounds, Paderborn, Feng. In the away fan stands at the Red Bull Arena, Paderborn fans went completely crazy. Every fan was shouting Feng's name hysterically. It's Feng's shot again. This is a volley from almost zero angle. Leipzig Red Bull's goalkeeper has tried his best, but unfortunately, Feng's shot is too powerful, which leaves the goalkeeper with nothing to do. The score came to 3-2. Su Feng completed the winning goal. Zanjun's tone was extremely exciting. Paderborn's coaching bench Gerald also gave Su Feng warm applause from the bottom of his heart. There is no doubt that Su Feng's performance in tonight's game was almost perfect. He couldn't help but praise. It's another hat trick, and getting a hat trick in such a crucial game, Su Feng can definitely be called Mr. Big Scene. Some people were excited, while others were sat on the coaching bench of Leipzig Red Bull. Head coach Lott's expression was ashen. He shook his head helplessly and complained helplessly to his assistant. The opponent's number 23 player is simply a scoring machine. I can't stop his goal at all. He was able to get a shot from this position. This is simply incredible. Is he really a Chinese player? The assistant was also non-committal. Boss, what should we do now? We are already behind now, Lott said in a very stern tone. What else can we do? We can only hold them all together and attack. Soon Roth came to the sidelines and shouted loudly to the disciples on the court, press the attack, press them all, we must not lose. Coach Roth knew very well that once he loses, if we exclude tonight's game, then Red Bull Leipzig will be at an absolute disadvantage in the championship battle with Paderborn, so this is a game that absolutely cannot be lost. After the restart under the active urging of Coach Roth, the Leipzig Red Bull players began to attack crazily, but, unfortunately, the results were brutal. Time is running out for RB Leipzig. There are only 2 minutes left before the end of the game. All 11 Paderborn players have retreated to half-court defense, and Coach Gerald set up a bus defense. At the same time, Paderborn players consciously interrupted the rhythm of the game and constantly committed fouls near the center circle. Finally, the game was over. The score was fixed at 3-2. Playing away from home, Paderborn achieved a comeback. After being 2 goals behind, they relied on Su Feng's hat-trick to complete a desperate counter-attack, got 3 points. After winning this victory, Paderborn also achieved corner overtaking in the standings. They temporarily ranked first in the league with a record of 21 wins, 7 draws and 3 losses, with 70 points, while Red Bull Leipzig temporarily ranked second with 68 points and a record of 20 wins, 8 draws and 2 losses for Paderborn. After this battle, they have firmly taken the initiative to win the championship. There are only 3 games left before the end of the season. The opponents in these 3 games were Munich 1980, Bochum and Dusseldorf. It is worth mentioning that the strength of these 3 teams is quite average. In particular, Bochum and Dusseldorf have no desires. They are not troubled by relegation and have no way to go further in the rankings. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. Therefore, Paderborn's victory in these 3 games can almost be said to be within easy reach. That night, Paderborn players returned to the city by bus. When the bus arrived at the door of the club, it was already 1 o'clock in the morning the next day, but there are still hundreds of Paderborn fans waiting at the club's entrance to welcome the players' triumphant return. Well done, boys, proud of each and every one of you. The championship will definitely belong to us, Paderborn. No one can stop us from winning the championship, the fans shouted hysterically. They use this method. Come cheer the players on. Inside the German football forum, many media also reported the results of the match between Red Bull Leipzig and Paderborn. Paderborn made a comeback 3-2 away from home. The battle for the German Bundesliga championship has entered its final and intense stage. Paderborn takes the top spot in the league and wins the last 3 rounds to win the championship. Su Feng scored a hat-trick, helping Paderborn see the hope of winning the championship. Soon the time came to April 28th, Banteler Arena at 7 o'clock in the evening. The sky was not beautiful, and it started to rain lightly in today's game. Coach Gerald still sent out the strongest lineup to play. Munich 1980 also had the strongest starting 11 against Paderborn. Although Munich 1980 has no relegation task this season, the head coach still wants to win the game against Paderborn. There is no possibility of letting go with the enthusiastic cheers of the Paderborn fans at the scene. The battle was about to begin. The first to kick off was Munich 1980, who played away from home. They immediately launched an attack towards Paderborn's goal after core player number 10 Saar received the football. He was double-teamed by many Paderborn players. He did not hesitate and immediately gave the football to George on the wing. Currently, the player with the most goals in the entire Munich 1980 lineup is number 9 George. This player has helped the team score a total of 7 goals and 5 assists this season, whether it is individual goals or passing the ball. This player is handy. George can almost be called the core of Munich's 1980 front court. When George received the football, faced with interference from many Paderborn defenders, he did not choose to hesitate, but accelerated decisively. His right foot suddenly moved. George relied on his unstoppable explosive power to easily get rid of the interference of Paderborn players. Go straight to Paderborn's baseline after many Munich 1980 players rushed towards the penalty area when George passed the ball. There were already 3 Munich 1980 players in the Paderborn penalty area trying to grab the ball. For a moment, the entire Paderborn defense was in chaos. Good thing at a critical moment, Paderborn's goalkeeper chose to attack, immediately successfully caught the football before the offensive player with both hands. The next second, Paderborn's chance to counterattack. The goalkeeper saw Su Feng's movement for the first time and realized that he was already preparing to accelerate. He made a prompt decision and fired his big kick immediately. Chapter 164. We are the champions. Win the championship one round early. Moment. After the football crossed half the court, it landed perfectly at the feet of Su Feng in the front court. There is no doubt that this is a good opportunity for Paderborn to counterattack. Su Feng is not a player who is good at speed, but relies on changes in rhythm and sudden stops and turns to successfully dodge the interference of many Munich 1980 players. 3 seconds later, Su Feng has already dribbled the ball and appeared at the top of the penalty area. This is a good chance to shoot. The moment Su Feng made the shot, Munich 1980's defensive players had already made interference actions, but at the same time, Su Feng changed his actions in 1 second. Su Feng changed from shooting to passing. The ankle flicked slightly. The football was instantly passed to the feet of Plikovic on the right. At this time, there were no defensive players around Plikovic. As a result, this player shot angrily. Tian. The football fell steadily into the goal. 1-0. Paderborn scored first. The tens of thousands of Paderborn fans in the stands of the entire Benteler Arena were extremely excited. Ah, Paderborn, Paderborn! Even many fans began to shout loudly that we are the champions after the restart when Paderborn scored. The mentality of the Munich players in the away game in 1980 changed 360 degrees in the remaining games. On the other hand, the morale of Paderborn players has soared, coupled with Su Feng's initiative to retreat and organize the response. The initiative in the game was once again in the hands of Paderborn. Within the next 10 minutes, Su Feng scored 2 goals in a row with his head and kick, completely losing the suspense of the game. After a 90-minute battle, Paderborn defeated Munich 1983 3-0 at home and successfully scored 3 points in another game played at the same time. RB Leipzig capsized in the gutter facing the relegation team Heidenheim. Leipzig Red Bull's offensive line was completely misfired. In the first 80 minutes, Leipzig Red Bull players aggressively attacked Heidenheim's defense, but in the end they returned without success in this game. Every Leipzig Red Bull player was extremely nervous, perhaps because they lost a key battle for the championship in the last round, which caused a change in the mentality of the Leipzig Red Bull players. Every player is timid during the game and dare not make any moves at all. In the end, Heidenheim scored on a counterattack in the 89th minute, thus losing the away game with a score of 0-1. At this point, the point difference between Red Bull Leipzig and Paderborn has expanded from the original 2 points to 5 points with the last 2 rounds of the league remaining. Red Bull Leipzig has only a theoretical hope of winning the Bundesliga championship. May 5th. The 33rd round of the Bundesliga 2 has officially begun. Paderborn hosts Bochum, while RB Leipzig hosts Kaiserslautern. For Paderborn, they only need a draw at home to win the Bundesliga title 1 round ahead of schedule. 8 o'clock in the evening, the Benteler Arena was packed with people, and almost the entire stadium was filled with Paderborn fans. This day will be a moment of history for Paderborn fans. Before the game, tickets were even sold by scalpers for €5,000 each, which was 50 times more expensive than the previous price, but despite this, demand still exceeded supply. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. The game hasn't started yet. Paderborn's home fans chanted the team's name hysterically. Ah, Paderborn, Paderborn. Every Paderborn fan has a happy smile on his face. Half an hour later, the match between Paderborn and Bochum officially begins under the cheers of the fans at the scene. Paderborn's players firmly controlled the rhythm of the game from the first minute of the game. A large-scale siege was formed against Bochum after 10 minutes of hard work. Paderborn's leading shooter, Su Feng, finally broke the deadlock with his signature volley after receiving a pass from his teammate in the penalty area. 1-0. Paderborn takes the lead only 5 minutes past. It was Su Feng's wonderful performance that helped expand the lead, but this time, it was not Su Feng's shot but a pass at the top of the penalty area. Su Feng faced 3 Bochum defenders and his calm through ball successfully tore apart the opponent's defense at the penalty spot. After receiving the pass from Su Feng, Plikovic faced a single opportunity without any defense and made it in one fell swoop. The score was rewritten again 2-0 at this moment. At the Red Bull Arena, the match between Red Bull Leipzig and Kaiserslautern was still 0-0. Kaiserslautern, who was playing away from home, did not take the initiative to attack, but set up an iron barrel formation. All 11 players retreated to their own half, using their tireless running to continuously destroy the passes of the Leipzig Red Bull players. The first half of the game is over when the Leipzig Red Bull players learned that Paderborn had led Bochum by 2 goals. The players' mentality completely exploded, so much so that after the start of the second half, Leipzig Red Bull made passing errors one after another. On the other hand, Paderborn, under the leadership of Feng, the team's offense was very smooth. When Paderborn took a 2-goal lead, they did not continue to attack the Bochum goal, but focused more on passing and control. Finally, 90 minutes later, Paderborn defeated Bochum 2-0, while RB Leipzig drew with Kaiserslautern 0-0 at home. So far, the Bundesliga 2 title race has come to an end. Paderborn won the Bundesliga title 1 round ahead of schedule with 76 points. The moment the whistle blows for the game, all the Paderborn players excitedly rushed in front of Feng, and even the usually calm head coach Gerald finally couldn't suppress his excitement, running wildly on the court, constantly waving his fists. Every Paderborn player or coach had an excited smile on his face at the instigation of Captain Hunemeyer. The Paderborn players also pushed Feng to the ground, and then all the players threw Feng into the sky. Bundesliga arena stands. Every Paderborn fan also took out their mobile phones to record this wonderful moment. There were even many emotional fans who shed tears of joy early on throughout the history of the Paderborn team. Although they were established as early as 1907, the team has not won a championship so far. Their best result was the second place in the Bundesliga 2 in the 2013-2014 season, and now Paderborn fans can finally shout loudly, "We are champions." Chapter 165. Championship Parade. Won the Golden Boot Award. There were brilliant fireworks over the Bundesliga arena. This is Paderborn's moment. They finally won their first championship in more than 100 years of existence. Paderborn's players also took the initiative to circle the field to thank the fans for their support. Feng. At this moment, Feng's shouts erupted from the entire stadium stands. All Paderborn fans know this well. Without Feng, Paderborn would not be able to create miracles this season, winning the Bundesliga title. This is simply impossible, but now, Feng has made everything a reality. Back in the locker room, assistant coach Bradrick also brought a large box of champagne early. Instantly, the entire dressing room was filled with the smell of champagne. Even under the leadership of Captain Hunemeyer, many naughty Paderborn players held bottles of champagne and made a big fuss at the press conference. The champagne was poured directly on head coach Gerald's expensive suit. After this game, Feng's former teammates in Freiburg also left messages to congratulate Feng on winning the championship, and in the Far East Yahoo.com also pinned several pieces of news about Paderborn winning the Bundesliga. No surprise. Paderborn defeated Bochum at home and won the Bundesliga championship 1 round ahead of schedule, the pride of Chinese people. Feng helped Paderborn win the Bundesliga championship, set a record. Feng became the first Chinese player to win the German second league. In the comment area, Chinese fans are also sincerely proud of Feng. How many years have passed? China finally has a super football star. Paderborn was able to win the Bundesliga championship mainly because of Feng's own efforts. Feng must stay in Europe. Don't go back to China, the hope of the whole village. I can't wait for the new season to start. I hope Feng can also perform well in the Bundesliga. Although Paderborn has already won the Bundesliga 2 championship, but the Bundesliga is not over yet. 3 days later, Paderborn will face Düsseldorf away from home. This is an irrelevant game, but despite this, head coach Gerald still chose to play the main game he wants at beginning in an Esprit Arena. 8 p.m. The final round of the Bundesliga 2 is about to begin. The game only lasted 5 minutes. Paderborn, playing away from home, successfully scored a goal. This was a set-piece opportunity. Feng broke through with the ball in the front court and caused a foul on the Düsseldorf defensive player. At the top of the penalty area, 35 meters away from the goal, Paderborn had a set kick opportunity. Player number 8 Plekovic took the penalty kick. This player did not choose to shoot directly, but instead passed the football to the back point, and at this moment Feng was outflanking them from behind. After the football quickly landed in front of Feng, Paderborn's leading shooter made a prompt decision and completed the volley with his left foot. The football grazed the right post and quickly turned into the goal. 1-0. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. Dusseldorf's goalkeeper didn't react in time and could only watch the football fly into the goal. Paderborn, playing away from home, took the lead within the following period. Dusseldorf, playing at home, wanted to create as much pressure on Paderborn's goal as possible. But the offensive level of this team was really poor. Several front court players made frequent passing errors when no one was guarding them. Finally, Dusseldorf's attack came to nothing in the following time. The game between the two teams gradually entered a relatively boring stage in the blink of an eye. The game time came to the 40th minute of the first half. Paderborn, playing away from home, suddenly showed strength. Su Feng took the initiative to retreat to the midfield to respond, this time after Su Feng received a long pass from captain Hunemir. He unloaded the football with his left foot very gracefully. The next second, he decisively sent a through ball. Bang! Despite the interference of 3 Dusseldorf players, the football still quickly turned into the penalty area. At this moment, the ribs of the penalty area after Paderborn's number 8 player Plekovic received the football. He successfully got a single chance facing the attacking Dusseldorf goalkeeper. Plekovic showed quite calmness and easily pushed the shot into the far corner, easily helping the team achieve a 2-0 score. This goal was Paderborn's last goal of the game at the end of the first half. Paderborn head coach Gerald made a personnel rotation. During the intermission, Su Feng was replaced by a young player, and when Su Feng came off the stage, the entire Paderborn's offensive efficiency was greatly reduced. In the 45 minutes of the second half, Paderborn's players were unable to create any threat to their opponents. Finally, at the end of the game, the score was fixed at 2-0. So far, the entire Bundesliga league has also come to an end. Su Feng, on the other hand, successfully became the top scorer in the Bundesliga 2 with 55 goals. At the same time, Su Feng also broke the single-season scoring record in the German second division. After this game is over, the German Football Association also sent officials to the scene to present the championship trophy to Paderborn. At the same time, Su Feng also won the Golden Boot Award and the Most Valuable Player Award of the German second division. Full of rewards. After the game, many German media released news that Su Feng won the Golden Boot Award and the Best Player Award. Chinese teenagers create miracles. He scored 55 goals in a single season and won the Bundesliga Golden Boot Award without any suspense. Break the record. Chinese youngster Su Feng scored 55 goals in the Bundesliga in a single season, which is a new Bundesliga single-season scoring record. The most valuable player is well-deserved. Paderborn star Su Feng becomes the key to winning the championship. The next day, Paderborn club also specially held a championship parade. The club did not hesitate to spend a lot of money to rent a large float. Every Paderborn player brought a medal and the Bundesliga trophy to celebrate this wonderful moment with the fans in Paderborn city. This day it is destined to be a great festival for the citizens of Paderborn. The streets are deserted. Almost all the citizens of Paderborn poured into the streets and participated in the celebration parade. Every Paderborn citizen shouted loudly, "Paderborn, Paderborn, Paderborn, Paderborn." After the players on the float saw the fans being so excited, they felt it deep in their hearts. Very pleased, it instantly felt like a season of hard work finally paid off. They became the heroes of the city. The parade lasted for a whole day. Chapter 166. Fiscal deficit, insufficient recruitment. 6 p.m. inside the Paderborn club. After head coach Gerald thanked the players for their hard work this season, he announced the end of the season and the holiday officially began. After hearing the news, the Paderborn players are also extremely excited. Finally, after a season of struggle, now they can finally enjoy their vacation. Although the season is over, Gerald's life as the team's head coach is not easy while the players were enjoying their vacation. Gerald was worried about the arrival of the new season. Every day Gerald knew very well that although Paderborn was killing everyone in the Bundesliga 2 and won the Bundesliga 2 championship 1 round ahead of schedule, but judging from the current strength of Paderborn's players, it is not easy to gain a foothold in the Bundesliga. You know, Bundesliga and Bundesliga are not the same concept. If Paderborn wants to establish itself in the Bundesliga, in addition to keeping the current lineup unchanged, it is also necessary to introduce several strong foreign players, perhaps to successfully avoid relegation in the new season. So on the first day after the season ended, Gerald kept informing the team's general manager of his signing plans, but the answer every time was financial difficulties. This is not a lie. Paderborn is really in a tight financial situation at the moment. After all, Paderborn is a small-town football club, and the club's current finances are only enough to cover the team's daily expenses and wages. Want to sign up? No money? Moreover, Paderborn's senior management believes that the team performed well in the Bundesliga 2 and even won the Bundesliga 2 championship 1 round ahead of schedule, which is enough to show that the team's current lineup is very healthy. There was no need to sign in at all. After hearing the feedback from the club's senior management, Gerald was so angry that he was speechless. As the team's head coach, Gerald is naturally the person most familiar with the team and the entire Paderborn club. In his opinion, if the club's top management does not work hard on signings, Paderborn will definitely be relegated next season. Although he encountered prevarication, Gerald already had deep feelings for the Paderborn team. Moreover, after Paderborn fell out of the Bundesliga last season, and now it has been promoted to the Bundesliga again. How can it be possible to give up so easily? Is it another round of travel? In this case, the next day, Gerald personally came to the office of the general manager of Paderborn for a detailed face-to-face discussion. Mr. General Manager, I have told you many times that this summer, we must make signings no matter what. The competition in the Bundesliga is very severe, and besides Feng, our current lineup has players in many positions. None of the players can adapt to the Bundesliga. If we don't make signings, the consequences will be disastrous. Do you still want to repeat the history of the team the year before last? Gerald poured out his bitterness to the general manager in an emotional voice, clarifying the interests and consequences relation. However, Gerald's words were like playing the piano to Knox, but Paderborn's general manager was still pushing the envelope as before. Gerald, I know you have put a lot of effort into this team, and I must thank you for once again leading Paderborn to the Bundesliga. However, I must also tell you that the current situation of the club, the finances have reached the limit, and there is no money for signings during the winter window. Now in the summer window, the club cannot give you a lot of funds. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. Perhaps next season, we can get part of the funds from the Bundesliga broadcast share. We will give you our full support when the time comes, but how much money can we give you this summer? After hearing the news, Gerald shook his head helplessly, and he continued to look towards the general manager of Paderborn. Prayed, I also know that the club is in financial difficulty, but I don't need a lot. I only need to strengthen the three positions of center-back, midfielder and left winger. Gerald said his final bottom line. He had already made huge concessions, but what awaited him was still ruthless rejection. Gerald, I have made it very clear to you. Now the club does not have any extra money for you to use in the transfer market. Left winger, I think Sagrik is very good, and is the striker still good? Need reinforcement? Don't forget, Feng has scored 55 goals in the league this season. Our striker's firepower can fully cope with the Bundesliga. The general manager spread his hands and continued with a frown. There is no need to introduce defenders. Captain Hunemeyer has recovered. He is a very experienced defensive player and was not inferior in the Bundesliga last season. As for the defensive midfielder, you can find suitable future stars from the youth team. Paderborn's general manager completely rejected Gerald's signing plan in one breath. Faced with such a stubborn general manager, Gerald adjusted his mentality as much as possible, and he continued to shout at the general manager in a good voice. The manager said, Feng did score 55 goals in the league this season. However, you also said that this is the German second division. It is undeniable that Feng is a very good player, and all his abilities have reached first-class levels. But the defensive strength of the Bundesliga team is not comparable to that of the Bundesliga team. You know, the other players on the front line were unable to score in 3 rounds against the Bundesliga defense. If the team still relies on Feng's personal ability to score goals on the front line after entering the Bundesliga, it will be very difficult. As for the issue of defenders, Humener is indeed the old captain of the team. Rich defensive experience. But the rest of the team, even facing a strong team in the second division of Germany, it's hard to do this, so some reinforcements must be made. Then, as the core of the team's offensive and defensive transition, you asked me to find players from the youth training. I'm afraid this is not appropriate, right? After Gerald finished saying this, he paused for a moment. Apparently he wanted to wait for Paderborn's head coach to answer before asking further questions, but Paderborn's general manager was obviously a little impatient. He held a hand on the table. The filer stood up, waved his hand, and continued to prevaricate. Let's discuss this matter another day. I have a meeting soon. It's obvious the Paderborn general manager didn't take Gerald's words to heart at all. The club can spend as much money as they want on signings. It's impossible to change his mind with just a few words from Gerald. There was no way. Coach Gerald had no choice but to leave from the general manager's office. In addition to Coach Gerald having a headache due to the transfer matter, Feng also encountered transfer trouble. However, compared to Gerald, while Feng is troubled by Germany, Feng is troubled by happiness since Feng scored 55 goals in the Bundesliga this season and helped the team win the league championship with one person. Major European clubs have paid attention. As for the Chinese striker who was killing everyone in the Bundesliga too, after the transfer window opened, Feng's agent Mino Raiola was also very busy. Bayern Munich, the southern king of the Bundesliga, contacted Feng immediately. Full of sincerity at the same time, after Dortmund missed Feng in the winter window, they once again expressed their love for Feng after the summer transfer window opened. Thutwell Bundesliga giants are interested in Feng. Chapter 167. The highest bidder wins. An offer of €30 million. It's not just Bayern and Dortmund in the Bundesliga. In La Liga, Barcelona, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid are also interested in Su Feng at the same time. All the big six players in the Premier League have sent offers to Raiola. Even giant teams such as Ligue 1's Paris Saint-Germain, Serie A's Inter Milan and Old Lady Juventus have contacted Raiola after Lepang informed Su Feng of these teams' quotations. To be honest, Su Feng didn't know how to choose at all. In fact, for Su Feng himself, he has not yet decided whether to leave Paderborn. After all, Su Feng was doing well in this club. Moreover, they have just been promoted to the Bundesliga, and most importantly, Su Feng is currently the absolute core of Paderborn. If Su Feng joins a wealthy team such as Bayern or the Premier League, he may be able to play in high-level competitions such as the Champions League, but he will also experience competition for the same position. This is a double-edged sword. Su Feng had to think carefully. Su Feng had time to think about it, but Su Feng's sitters couldn't wait any longer. In order to take the initiative in the battle for Su Feng, these European giants clubs have also resorted to various methods. For example, publishing various rumors. Report, the most valuable player of Bundesliga 2, Su Feng is about to join Bayern Munich, and the two parties have secretly signed a contract. Latest news. Real Madrid spends €20 million to introduce Paderborn striker Su Feng. Manchester United head coach personally called Su Feng, who is interested in joining Manchester United. Su Feng is about to bring his talent to Old Trafford. Chelsea's new coach Feng has made it clear that the signing team will sign Su Feng. He will become an important puzzle piece for Chelsea in the new season. Articles like this have appeared almost crazily in the eyes of fans during this period. Which team will Su Feng join? It has become the news that every Paderborn fan and even Chinese fans want to know most. In the comment area of understandq.com, the Chinese fans also began to brainstorm ideas and suggestions for Su Feng. Su Feng should leave Paderborn as soon as possible. The transfer period has already started, but Paderborn has not made any signings. If you stay in a team like this, you will definitely be relegated next season. Don't go to Bayern, you can go to Dortmund. Tuchel likes to train new players very much, and the Hornets also have a tradition of training young players. Su Feng will definitely get a chance when he joins Dortmund. You'd better come to our factory. If you want to train young players, how can is Professor Wenger from our factory good at it? And Arsenal only has Giroud on the front line. I believe Su Feng can completely squeeze out Giroud and become the starter. Go to Barcelona. Go to Barcelona. Join Messi. Create a dream fourth dynasty. Every player has a dream of becoming emperor, and I believe Su Feng does the same. Real Madrid welcomes you. Only fools would go to Barcelona and Real Madrid. The best destination is definitely Chelsea, where we have the best team owner. And Chelsea is not short of money, so they will definitely give Su Feng an offer they can't refuse. If you are richer, Manchester City, will be the first to refuse. In order to take advantage of Su Feng's transfer traffic, the net understands. There was even a fan voting event. The title of the vote is which team Su Feng is most likely to join. Fans who guess correctly will have a chance to win an iPhone. The voting lasted for just 2 days and attracted tens of thousands of fans to participate. Judging from the voting results, 30% of fans hope Su Feng can join Dortmund, 25% hope Su Feng joins Chelsea, and 20% of fans support Su Feng joining Real Madrid. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels, Europe. In addition to publishing rumors about Su Feng's transfer, the wealthy clubs also naturally made real money offers to Paderborn during this time. The office of the general manager of Paderborn is full of people. Staff members from major European football clubs are constantly coming in and out, and they have only one purpose, and that is to take Su Feng away. During this time, Paderborn head coach Gerald was also extremely troubled. On the one hand, Gerald did not want Su Feng to leave the team. After all, the entire Paderborn strategy now revolves around Su Feng. Once Su Feng leaves the team, it will be a fatal blow to the Paderborn club's immediate combat effectiveness. I'm afraid they can only be ranked in the middle of the Bundesliga 2 at best. On the other hand, Gerald gradually understood the club's financial crisis through many conversations with the team's general manager. Now major wealthy clubs have made official offers, and the prices are very impressive. This money is almost like a timely help for Paderborn, who is facing difficulties with its capital. Gerald can also introduce his target players in the transfer market, another double-edged sword. Feng, I still hope you can stay in the team. In an apartment not far from the Paderborn training base, head coach Gerald personally approached Su Feng for ideological work. We have just experienced a perfect season and should not break up so soon. You have now become a hero in the city of Paderborn. Your departure will have a huge impact on the team. We have worked hard and finally promoted to the Bundesliga. I need you to be in the team. Paderborn fans don't want to see their hero leave. Gerald kept trying to keep Su Feng, to be honest. After Su Feng heard what Gerald said, Su Feng was also a little moved. Just when Su Feng was about to agree to Gerald's stay in Paderborn, an accident happened. Paderborn's financial chain was completely broken. The parent company of the sponsor that has been cooperating with Paderborn has experienced an economic crisis due to investment failure, and they have no extra funds to sponsor the team. That is to say, now Paderborn not only has no money for signings, but also paying wages to players has become a big problem. Facing this sudden blow, there is only one way left for Paderborn to stay in the Bundesliga: sell Su Feng. When Su Feng learned the news, he also contacted his agent, Mino Raiola. Overnight, Raiola is asked to discuss with teams that have already made offers and try to ask for a higher transfer fee. The kindness of a drop of water should be repaid with a spring of water. It was Paderborn who gave Su Feng the opportunity to play in the Bundesliga too. Naturally, when the team encounters a crisis, Su Feng will definitely not let it go. After rounds of negotiations with Raiola, in the end, 4 teams, Arsenal, Manchester United, Bayern and Chelsea, entered the finals. The quotations of these 4 teams are all €30 million. To be honest, in 2016, €30 million to buy a second division player was already an astronomical figure. Chapter 168. €35 million. Join Arsenal. After receiving the call from Su Feng, Raiola immediately contacted the heads of the 3 clubs. Chelsea and Manchester United have clearly stated that €30 million is their bottom line. No matter how Raiola argued, neither club would give in. On the contrary, Arsenal showed great sincerity. As the head coach of Arsenal, Coach Wenger has broad rights in introducing players. As long as Wenger likes the players, under normal circumstances, Arsenal's sports director will definitely support them strongly. In fact, during the winter window, Coach Wenger had a great interest in Su Feng, but at that time, because Arsenal had no quota, he had to give up. Now half the season has passed. Su Feng's performance in the Bundesliga was perfect. Not only did he help Paderborn win the Bundesliga championship, he even broke the single-season scoring record in the Bundesliga and won the Best Player award. So after the transfer period opens, Wenger also contacted Paderborn and Raiola as soon as possible. In Wenger's view, the player Su Feng fit perfectly with his tactical system. Moreover, Su Feng is only 17 years old, so his future is limitless. So, Coach Wenger is determined to win Su Feng. When Raiola hoped that Arsenal could increase the transfer amount, Coach Wenger did not hesitate. Directly based on the original quotation of €30 million, an additional €5 million were added, a total of €35 million. It can be said that Wenger's offer is full of sincerity. Soon after Raiola informed Su Feng of Wenger's offer, Su Feng readily agreed. In order to keep the Paderborn club alive and stay in the Bundesliga, Su Feng decides to move to Arsenal. It didn't take long for the news to be reported by all major media in Germany. Report: Bundesliga newly promoted Paderborn striker Su Feng is about to move to Arsenal. 35 million transfer fees. Wenger brought Su Feng to the Emirates Stadium, the greatest transfer Paderborn has ever seen. Su Feng is about to join Arsenal for €35 million, an offer you can't refuse. Arsenal spent a lot of money to successfully bring Su Feng to the Emirates Stadium. As soon as these news were released, they immediately aroused comments from many fans. Oh my god. Is Wenger crazy? He actually spent €35 million to bring Su Feng. Actually, this price is not much premium. Don't forget, Su Feng scored in the Bundesliga too, 55 goals. I heard that Paderborn's sponsors are in trouble now, so that Paderborn's finances are in a huge crisis. This time Su Feng joins Arsenal entirely to save Paderborn. Su Feng still has a friendship with Paderborn and deliberately chose the highest offer. As a Paderborn fan, I really have mixed feelings when I see this news. I hope Su Feng can prove it in the Premier League. Use your own strength. And on the KingQ.com forum, the official also deliberately put Su Feng's transfer news at the top of the list. After seeing the news, Chinese fans felt extremely proud of Su Feng. Wow! I'm finally joining the Premier League. Arsenal is definitely the best team for Su Feng. I hope Su Feng can perform well under the guidance of Coach Wenger. €35 million. If nothing else, this should be the highest transfer fee ever paid for a Chinese player. It's really incredible. Su Feng actually joined Arsenal. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. Now I can finally show off my 20-year career as Arsenal. I am a Nasdaq fan. We are overjoyed. I hope Su Feng can help Arsenal win the Premier League championship. Buy an Arsenal jersey now. When Su Feng decided to join Arsenal, Wenger the coach was extremely excited. and he immediately urged the sports director to speed up the process. Then on the second day, Arsenal club officially signed transfer terms with Paderborn Football Club. The transfer fee of 35 million will be paid immediately. This money is like life-saving money for Paderborn now, since it is now the off-season. Su Feng does not have the opportunity to say goodbye to his teammates. Perhaps, for Su Feng, the best farewell is to say goodbye without saying goodbye. After all, saying goodbye is a sad thing. After Arsenal and Paderborn reached an agreement, that night, Su Feng, accompanied by Raiola, immediately boarded a flight to London, England. It was already 11 p.m. when we arrived in London, but the lights were bright throughout. Arsenal Football Club head coach Wenger personally greeted Su Feng at the door. "Feng, I finally see you." After Wenger saw Su Feng, it was like seeing gold. The expression on his face was so happy that he gave Su Feng a big hug as soon as he came up. "Long time admired, Coach Wenger, I look forward to working with you." Su Feng also expressed respect for Wenger. After the two exchanged greetings, they came to Coach Wenger's office. Accompanied by Raiola, Su Feng also officially signed a contract with Arsenal. The total is a 3-year contract. In the 4th year, Arsenal has the first option to renew the contract. Su Feng's annual salary was €1 million in the first year, €3 million in the second year, and €5 million in the third year. It can be seen that this contract is full of sincerity. Su Feng asked Raiola to take a look at the contract. After there were no problems, Su Feng signed his name in person. Considering that Su Feng came to London for the first time, the club temporarily let Su Feng live in the player's apartment, although it is said to be a player apartment. But Arsenal's player apartments and Paderborn's player apartments are completely different concepts. As a Premier League Giants team, the Arsenal player's apartment is almost a suite, with sofas, kitchens, bathrooms, and even saunas. It's completely like a 5-star hotel. The next day after Su Feng woke up, he immediately attended Arsenal's press conference. At the press conference, Arsenal head coach Arsene Wenger said to reporters, "The joining of Su Feng will be very crucial for Arsenal. I believe that Su Feng can bring his talents to London, and he will be in the new team, become the main player of the team during the season." After that, Su Feng took over the Arsenal jersey from Wenger. The number on the back is 8. This is Su Feng's number for the new season. After Su Feng put on the jersey, he was naturally very excited. In the subsequent interview, Su Feng said extremely excitedly, "It has been my dream since childhood to join Arsenal. I can't wait for the new season to start." Chapter 169. Join Arsenal. Angrily spraying the dead midfielder. After the press conference, Arsenal Football Club also immediately released a make-up photo of Su Feng wearing an Arsenal jersey on social media. At the same time, it is accompanied by a text, "The Chinese genius becomes the new owner of Arsenal number 8. As soon as this tweet was sent out, it attracted a large number of comments from Arsenal fans. "Come on, Su Feng. I hope you can help Arsenal win the championship." At 17 years old, the future is bright. As an international student from China, I finally have a reason to go to the Emirates Stadium to watch the game. The most important signing is, Su Feng is really strong. I hope the Chinese Dragon can take the Premier League by storm. Some Arsenal fans support the introduction of Su Feng, and naturally a considerable number of Arsenal fans are dissatisfied with the club's signing. Although Su Feng scored 55 goals in the Bundesliga too, it is unknown whether he can adapt to the intensity of the Premier League. To be honest, the club spent 35 million to buy a 17-year-old Asian player. This is definitely a stupid decision. I really don't understand why Wenger admires Su Feng. It is said that this player has an average character and often goes to nightclubs. There are praises and doubts among Arsenal fans, but for Su Feng, he didn't care after all. Football talks with your feet, not your mouth. Under Su Feng's personal Twitter, basically there are messages from Paderborn fans. As a legendary player in the city of Paderborn, Paderborn fans also expressed their reluctance in Su Feng's comment area. "Paderborn will always be your home, Su Feng. Thank you for your dedication to Paderborn. We will never forget your existence. Your name will remain in Paderborn forever. In the hearts of the fans, you have become a legend. Salute to the youngest captain." There are even many Paderborn fans who hope that Su Feng can return to Paderborn in person for a farewell ceremony. Actually, as for Su Feng, he really wanted to go back to Paderborn after all. Many of his belongings are still in the player's apartment in Paderborn. Although Su Feng is now rich, Su Feng still hopes to transport his personal belongings back to London. Then a week later, Su Feng took a plane to Paderborn again. Originally, Su Feng didn't want too many people to know that he was back this time, but he couldn't resist his popularity. As soon as Su Feng landed at Paderborn Airport, he was immediately recognized by Paderborn fans. Su Feng did not stay at the airport for too long. He immediately arrived at the Paderborn player's apartment. After packing his personal belongings, he immediately headed towards the airport, but just as Su Feng was on his way to the airport, almost the entire city of Paderborn came to say goodbye on both sides of the city's main roads. They are all fans wearing the number 23 Paderborn jersey. Densely packed, the fans waved goodbye to Su Feng and shouted Su Feng's name. Su Feng also deliberately opened the car window and said goodbye to the Paderborn fans inside the airport entrance. The fans even pulled out a huge banner, which read in Chinese, "Thank you Su Feng. Paderborn will always be your home." When Su Feng saw this scene, he couldn't help but feel a little moved in his heart. He clasped his hands and expressed his gratitude to every Paderborn fan present. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. On a flight to London, Su Feng could not calm down his excitement for a long time. Perhaps this was the first time Su Feng felt that football had moved him. In a blink of an eye, time passes little by little. Late July, it's time for the Arsenal first team to assemble. In the last season under the leadership of coach Wenger, Arsenal achieved a record of 20 wins, 11 draws and 7 losses, scored 71 points, and won the Premier League. Runner-up, the team that won the championship, was the super dark horse, Leicester City. This season Arsenal naturally hopes to improve their record and strive for the league championship. Therefore, Coach Wenger also deliberately called the players for training a week in advance. Since it was the first training session of the new season, Coach Wenger did not conduct strength training, but focused more on recovery before training. Su Feng introduced himself, but let's be honest, Arsenal's players are not enthusiastic about this new Chinese player. Even forward Welbeck quietly taunted Su Feng towards the dead midfielder. After Su Feng introduced himself, "An Asian monkey can actually join our Arsenal? Coach Wenger must be blind," the dead midfielder said tirelessly. "It is a shame for me to be teammates with such a player." Although the two of them are, the conversation was very quiet, but Su Feng still heard it. Su Feng doesn't like to hold grudges because, if there was a grudge, Su Feng would avenge it on the spot. It's a shame for me to be teammates with someone like you." After saying that, Su Feng suddenly walked up to the dead man's midfielder and spat directly in his face. Su Feng's actions completely shocked the players and coaches at the scene. Even the midfielder involved was a little dumbfounded. He never thought that this Asian player transferred from the Bundesliga league would dare to be so tough. In order to prevent the situation from escalating, Arsenal assistant coach Bold also immediately separated the two people. Wenger also came over at this time, and he shouted angrily at Su Feng and the deadman midfielder, "You are teammates. I hope that nothing like this will happen in the future. If you want to fight, you can go the octagon, but this is a football field." Wenger's temper was pretty good. He did not punish Su Feng because Wenger had already criticized Su Feng before he chose to introduce him. He knew that Su Feng was a player with a unique personality: smoking, drinking, perming your hair, going to the bar and being proficient in everything. The reason why Wenger still signed Su Feng was that he naturally believed that these bad habits were not a problem. After this small episode, training officially began. The first thing to do is passing training, divided into two groups. Partnering with Su Feng as midfielder Ramsey compared with Welbeck and the dead midfielder's attitude towards Su Feng. Ramsey obviously respects Su Feng more while passing the ball. Ramsey also asked Su Feng about China from time to time. Obviously, Ramsey likes Eastern culture very much. Over time, the two became good friends. After almost a week of training at the Arsenal training base, Su Feng ushered in his first intra-team match. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170. Show off your power in the training match. Explosive Kumshit. Coach Wenger hopes to use an internal match to examine the player's status and prepare for the new season as much as possible. The criteria for detachment are drawn by lots divided into white team and red team. Su Feng was assigned to the white team. Other players in the white team include Ramsey, Theo Walcott, Chambers, Bellerin, Ospina and other players in the red team. It is composed of Sanchez, Iwobi, deadman midfielder, Welbeck, etc. After the game starts, the red team players kick off the ball. From a staffing point of view, the red team is obviously stronger than the white team where Su Feng is. So when the game started, the white team players also retreated to the midfield to defend. Second minute of the game, the red team got an excellent offensive opportunity after midfielder Iwobi attracted the attention of two white team players. He suddenly gave the football to the dead midfielder moving on the wing. The latter sent a through ball without stopping the ball. Football suddenly appeared at the feet of striker Sanchez. Good thing white team defender Chambers reacts extremely quickly. He fell to the ground to block Sanchez's shot before he could shoot. successfully resolving the opponent's attack after the red team continues to put pressure on the white team's goal. 10 minutes later it's still a dead midfielders through ball in the midfield. The football passed under the feet of two white team midfielders and went straight to the ribs of the penalty area. It's Sanchez again. This time Sanchez first pressed his body against Chambers and then suddenly launched a powerful volley. Boom. As luck would have it, the football hit the goal post. 2 consecutive attacks, which directly overwhelmed the white team players on the front line after Feng failed to get a chance. He decided to actively retreat to the midfield to participate in defense, and just after Feng settled into the midfield everything has changed. During this period of time, Feng's good friend Ramsey began to cooperate with Feng in passing the ball a lot. After this period of time together there is also a certain chemical reaction between the two players, Feng and Ramsey. This time after Ramsey controlled the ball in the midfield, he saw Feng's position for the first time, made a prompt decision, and successfully handed the ball to Feng as quickly as possible. After the latter received the football, he took a look at the position of the goal. Direct shot, the football was like a cannonball, slamming into the goal. Arsenal's main goalkeeper sighed as he watched the ball. He could only stand there and watch the football fly into the goal he was guarding. Feng's shot was too fast. Even the powerful Sek has no way of touching football. 1-0. The white team gradually controlled the rhythm of the game. A few minutes later the players of the white team continued to put pressure on the red team's goal. After Feng scored, he immediately attracted the attention of the red team's defensive players. When the white team launched the attack, many red team players appeared in front of Feng, including the dead midfielder. Soon, enemies will cross paths. Feng once again received a pass from Ramsey at the top of the penalty area. At the same time, the dead midfielder also appeared in front of Feng. Feng behaved quite calmly at the first moment. Feng decisively made a shot. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. After seeing this, the dead man's midfielder did not dare to be careless and immediately stretched out his legs to intercept, and just at the critical moment Feng quickly spiked the ball with his right foot. The football actually passed between the dead man's legs. Crotch wearing is awesome. The next second Feng made another shot. Tian. The football flew perfectly into the dead center of the goal again. In less than 5 minutes, Feng scored twice. In the end, the white team relied on Feng's 2 goals to successfully win the game. Feng tried his best in a small way, and he won the respect of his Arsenal teammates with his own strength. After the game, teammates who had ridiculed Feng before also apologized to Feng, but Feng didn't take any notice. In Feng's mind, he has always had a dream, that is to hope that through his influence, he can help the national team. Although Feng knew that it was completely impossible to lead the national football team to win the World Cup with his own strength, Feng could still rely on his influence to make more young people fall in love with football. After the team training match, Feng also specially invited Ramsey to eat out. Feng knew that Ramsey liked Eastern culture very much, so he specially brought Ramsey to Chinatown in London to eat Chinese food. After picking and choosing, Feng finally decided to try Sichuan cuisine. This dish is very famous in China. It's called mapo tofu. You can try it. Since Ramsey wasn't good at using chopsticks yet, Feng directly put the tofu into Ramsey's bowl. What kind of food is this? Ramsey looked at the red tofu in the bowl, and he was actually full of this struggle in his heart. As a Welshman, Ramsey doesn't dare to try too many strange foods, so before eating, he wants to know the ingredients. After Feng saw Ramsey being so cautious, he couldn't help but said, "You can just eat peppers and soy products. They won't be poisonous." After hearing Feng's words, Ramsey became stronger. Gut swallowed it in one gulp. It's too spicy, but it's really delicious. Ramsey was instantly attracted by mapo tofu. Feng, this is definitely the best food I have ever eaten, spicy and fragrant. After the two had a pleasant chat, Feng specially ordered a bottle of maote. "Come, have a taste. This is wine from China." After saying that, Feng filled Ramsey's glass with white wine. "It's not good, Feng." Ramsey refused at first, but he couldn't stand Feng's insistence. "Don't worry, tomorrow is a day off. Nothing will happen, and this bottle of liquor is quite expensive. You must not let me down." Ramsey actually knew that Feng liked to drink. Seeing Feng being so kind, Ramsey couldn't refuse, so I decided to have a few drinks. "Wow, why does this wine taste different from beer? It has a fragrance." Ramsey's eyes lit up, and then he couldn't help but drink another glass. "Is this the wine of the East? China is really a magical country, with such delicious food and wine. It would be great if I were Chinese." Hearing Ramsey's words after speaking, Feng couldn't help but complain, "Farewell, if you're Chinese, you might not be able to have such a wonderful football career." Chapter 171. Drink Maute. Overall score breakthrough. After 3 glasses of white wine, Ramsey's face was already a little tipsy at the same time. It also entered the stage of drinking and chatting. Ramsey held Su Feng's hand, and then spoke to Su Feng very seriously. Feng, do you know? My biggest dream is to help Arsenal win the Champions League. Since joining Arsenal in 2008, I have been at this club for 8 full years, but unfortunately, during these 8 years, due to various factors, Arsenal has never won that damn trophy. Big Ears Cup. I have been an Arsenal fan since I was a child. I hope to personally lead Arsenal back to the top. This season, let's work together. Last season, Leicester City was able to win the Premier League championship. Our Arsenal can naturally win the Champions League. When the day comes for the Champions League final, both of us must start. I will definitely give you assists like I did today. When Ramsey, after saying these words, Su Feng gradually realized that Ramsey was already a little drunk. He followed Ramsey's words and continued. The reason why I chose to join Arsenal is naturally because I hope to win the Champions League, but I personally think that the road must be taken step by step and down to earth. Last season the team won after winning the Premier League runner-up. Our goal this season should be more focused on the league. After winning the league championship, we can look forward to the Champions League, of course, as long as each of our players does their best and fully implements Coach Wenger's instructions. Tactics. I believe that Arsenal will always rise one day. I look forward to setting foot on the stage of the Champions League final with you. After Su Feng finished speaking, Ramsey had no response. Su Feng patted Ramsey's head, but there was no reaction. Turned out to be Ramsey had climbed up on the table and fell asleep. Su Feng couldn't help but laugh after seeing Ramsey's embarrassment. He did not choose to wake up Ramsey, but took out his mobile phone and immediately recorded Ramsey's embarrassment. After Su Feng carried Ramsey on his back, hailed a taxi on the roadside, and took Ramsey home himself. After all, it was too unsafe for Ramsey to go home alone. There is no comparison between London's security and domestic security at night. All kinds of monsters and ghosts come out to wander around, and Ramsey is still the core of Arsenal's midfield. His worth has reached €30 million. If something happens because of drinking, the consequences will be disastrous. So Su Feng personally sent Ramsey home. Ramsey's family were all in Wales, so his house in London was empty. So Su Feng carried Ramsey directly to the bed and covered him with a quilt before returning to his home. When Su Feng returned home, it was already past 1 in the morning, but Su Feng was not ready to sleep. Instead, he took out his mobile phone, opened the live football game, and started some special training. The next day, 6 o'clock, Su Feng opened his system sleepily. Name: Su Feng, age 18 years old, height 187 centimeters, shooting ability 80, long shot 78, volley 81, header 84, arc 79, penalty kick 76, technical ability 81, ball sense 82, dribbling 88, ball control 77, short pass 79, long pass 78, physical ability 78, strength 75, speed 84, coordination 75, reaction 81, physical fitness 67. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. Comprehensive evaluation 80, current coolness value 20. After this period of hard work and special training, Su Feng's comprehensive evaluation successfully reached 80. It's not easy. Finally 80. Su Feng took another look at the other attributes and found that they had increased to a certain extent in Su Feng's understanding. When the comprehensive rating reaches 80, it means that Su Feng has become a qualified Premier League starting player in the dribbling attribute. The value reached 88. This means that Su Feng can complete more difficult passing moves in the game, but for Su Feng, if he wants to gain a foothold in Arsenal's lineup, he still needs to work harder. After all, he is not the only forward reserve in the current Arsenal lineup. Cheer out. Welbeck plus Theo Walcott as well as Sanchez and Iwobi can all play forward. Therefore, Su Feng was not the first pick in Wenger's starting selection, not even a top 3 pick. Although Su Feng has performed well in recent team training games, to be honest, in Wenger's mind, Su Feng still needs to work harder if he wants to become the main force in the new season. The next day, Arsenal training day. After the morning training, Arsenal head coach Mr. Wenger also deliberately found Su Feng. The two chatted for a while. Feng, are you getting used to life in London? Su Feng nodded and said, life in London is obviously much better than life in Paderborn. This is a big city with everything. After hearing this, Su Feng, after saying this, Coach Wenger showed a kind smile. It's good to be able to adapt to life in London. The new season is about to start. I have high expectations for you. Through your performance and training, you have fully adapted to the rhythm of the Premier League. But, Feng, I have to tell you that you are not in my starting plan at the beginning of the new season. Whether it is Sanchez or Giroud, they are in equally good condition. You need to wait. I will prove it to you. A chance to use my own strength. Wenger gave Su Feng a shot of vaccination first. As for training young players, Wenger still has his own theory. In Wenger's view, Su Feng has been very active in training during the recent period, and he also made progress in the team training in the past 2 days. Su Feng himself is definitely looking forward to getting the starting opportunity in the new season. However, Coach Wenger chose to pour cold water on Su Feng. Wenger knows that if a young player wants to truly become a superstar, the most important thing he needs to do is to learn to settle. If Su Feng is directly allowed to start in the Premier League, it is very likely that Su Feng will feel proud and complacent. As a football player, once such emotions arise, he will basically be useless. Therefore, Coach Wenger suppressed Su Feng while giving him hope. In fact, Wenger was overly worried. Su Feng has a very mature psychology, and he is a very introspective player. There's no way this could happen. Chapter 172. Wenger's training plan. Strengthen the confrontation. During this period, Arsenal's team training also began to increase in intensity. After all, the league is about to start. For head coach Wenger, he must try his best to restore the physical fitness of his players in a limited time. During this summer, the players have all gone on vacation, and many players are even bloated. Therefore, it is necessary to conduct a certain degree of high-intensity training to restore the players to the physical fitness that can support a 90-minute game as much as possible. Time goes round and round. The end of July soon came, and Su Feng's 18th birthday finally arrived. 2 days before his birthday, Su Feng informed his Arsenal teammates that he was going to hold a birthday party on this day of training. Su Feng behaved quite positively at the Arsenal base. The team training subjects are still high intensity physical training. After the training, Su Feng also specially invited the current Arsenal first team players to attend his birthday party, but the dead midfielder and Welbeck were not invited by Su Feng. The reason is simple, that is, after Su Feng joined Arsenal, these two people once humiliated him in public, although Su Feng had already taken revenge at that time, and even beat up the dead midfielder in the team training match. But despite this, Su Feng still doesn't have the slightest fondness for the dead midfielder and Welbeck. Everyone must come. I have prepared a sumptuous table of Chinese food for you, which will definitely make you feel what real food is. After Su Feng finished speaking, his friend Ramsey, he also said to other Arsenal teammates, you must come. I promise, the Chinese food is really delicious. This will definitely be the best meal you have ever eaten. Arsenal. After hearing Ramsey's words, the first team players couldn't help but show a trace of yearning on their faces. The 18th birthday is a very important birthday. Don't worry, Feng, we will definitely go. That's right. Since you invited us, we will definitely give you face. This will definitely be a big deal. For the fee, Feng, you may go bankrupt. Several Arsenal players joked towards Su Feng, but Su Feng said indifferently, don't worry, everyone, I can still get this little money. Come out. By the way, if I invite Coach Wenger, you should be able to accept it. The reason why Su Feng asked his teammates about this matter was naturally because he was worried that the arrival of Coach Wenger would make his teammates unhappy. They feel uncomfortable. It doesn't matter. Coach Wenger is very easy to talk to. Coach Wenger must be invited. I especially want to see Coach Wenger drunk. Stop making trouble. With Coach Wenger here, we definitely can't drinking. You're kidding. But no matter what, we still have to invite Coach Wenger. It's best to invite all the members of the coaching staff. Giroud and Sanchez, the two forward players, seem to have helped Su Feng think about it. After making the follow-up arrangements, it was like it was the two of them celebrating their birthdays. By the way, why don't you invite the two of them? Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. Just as he said this, veteran midfielder Cazorla suddenly pointed at the dead midfielder and Welbeck in the distance. The reason why Cazorla asked this question mainly because he didn't know about the conflict between Su Feng and the Deadman's midfielder. On the first day Su Feng entered the team, Cazorla had not returned to the team. When Cazorla finished saying this, everyone present fell silent instantly, and everyone's eyes looked at Su Feng. Involuntarily Su Feng did not hide his relationship with these two people. Instead, he said directly to Cazorla, the reason is very simple, because I don't like these two people, and there is a little conflict between these two people, and on my 18th birthday, I don't want to see it come to these two guys. Cazorla immediately realized that he had said the wrong thing. The expression on his face was also full of embarrassment. Just as the Arsenal players were about to leave one after another, the team's assistant coach Bold suddenly came to Su Feng and quickly shouted hysterically to stop Su Feng, who was about to leave. Feng? Wait a minute. Wait a minute, Su Feng stopped immediately after hearing someone calling his name. Assistant coach Boulder, what's the matter? Boulder took a few breaths and patted Su Feng on the shoulder and said, Feng, Coach Wenger has something to do with you. Please go to Su Feng now. Come to Coach Wenger's office. Su Feng nodded and said, it turns out that Coach Wenger is looking for me. It just so happens that I also have something to talk to Coach Wenger. After that, Su Feng and Bold came to Coach Wenger's office. At this time, Coach Wenger is watching the players' medical reports. After Boulder knocked on the door of Wenger's office, Wenger motioned for Su Feng to come in. Coach Wenger, what do you want from me? Su Feng asked Coach Wenger very curiously. Coach Wenger did not speak, but first handed Su Feng his physical examination report from the table, and then continued to say to Su Feng, this is your physical examination report. You take a look at it first. Su Feng turned it over. After reading a few pages, I read it in general at this time. Coach Wenger continued, Feng, your shooting, passing and dribbling are all very strong, but in your physical examination report, your physical confrontation ability and core strength are quite average. To be honest, you are currently very weak. The physical confrontation and core strength are not enough to adapt to the intensity of the Premier League game. I think you also know very well that the Premier League is a game that is very good at physical confrontation, and during the game, the referee's whistle will be very loose. And players are encouraged to engage in physical confrontation, so, judging from your strength and confrontation, once you are allowed to appear in a Premier League game, you are likely to be injured. I hope you can do it later. You can strengthen strength training more in your training. I have told Boulder that after the daily training, Boulder will do additional training with you. When your physical confrontation and strength have after you have significantly improved, I will put you on the substitute list and even give you a chance to play. Su Feng also immediately expressed his confidence to Coach Wenger. Don't worry, Coach, I will train hard and I won't let you down. Wenger nodded, with an expression of relief on his face at this moment. Bold suddenly said, Feng, don't you have something to do with Coach Wenger? You can talk about it now. Chapter 173. The conflict in the locker room emerges. Wenger's decision, you have something to do with me, tell me, if I can solve it, I will definitely do my best. Su Feng quickly said with a smile, actually, it's nothing. It's my 18th birthday in 2 days, so I hope to invite you to have a meal with the coaches. After hearing this, Coach Wenger did not hesitate and agreed decisively. Since you invited us, you naturally want to be honored, but, if us coaches go, you players may feel a little uncomfortable. Su Feng waved his hands decisively and said, don't worry, Coach, I have already said hello to them in advance, and they all welcome you. Assistant Coach Bold said with a smile, okay, in that case, then we will definitely go. 2 days later, in a Sichuan restaurant in London's Chinatown, there was a roar of people. Su Feng also specially booked a large box. After all, although this is Chinatown, it is Chinatown in London. With the influence of Coach Wenger, if you eat in the lobby, you will definitely be discovered by fans, so Su Feng chose the private room. Although it is a lot more expensive in euros, it is well worth it to give the players a good meal. Moreover, judging from Su Feng's current salary, it is not short of this amount at all. But what Su Feng didn't expect was that many Arsenal players who had promised him did not come. This actually made Su Feng feel secretly dissatisfied, because Su Feng knew very well that the reason why these people did not come was entirely because of the dud midfielder or Welbeck's obstruction. But Su Feng quickly dealt with his mood. Enjoy your birthday together with your arriving teammates. These teammates also secretly bought Su Feng a super large cake with the Arsenal team logo printed on it, full of sincerity, since there was a training match tomorrow, and the first team coach Wenger and assistant coaches were both there. Su Feng naturally did not drink. Instead, he drank milk. The birthday dinner lasted for about 2 hours, and everyone left one after another after bidding farewell to Su Feng. On the way back, assistant coach Bold and coach Wenger also started chatting. Coach, have you heard that many players in the locker room are not friendly towards Su Feng? They are not very satisfied with Su Feng joining the team. After Wenger heard the news from Boulder, there was no expression on his face. It seems that Coach Wenger has already learned about it. Oh, please tell me specifically which players are not satisfied. Although Wenger already understood almost everything, he still chose to let Bold continue. The dead midfielder, Welbeck, and the young forward Akpan are not satisfied with Su Feng. Moreover, these people have been forming small groups in the locker room and have allowed other players to isolate Su Feng. You know, the league has not officially started yet. Once the Premier League starts, the conflicts in the locker room will definitely affect the team's performance. Coach, read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. We must solve this problem as soon as possible. And, As far as I know, Dead People the attacking midfielder is not only dissatisfied with Su Feng personally, but also has a strong contempt for the entire China. This is likely to intensify the conflict between the two people. Although Su Feng is not currently the main player of the team, but as far as I know, there are many Arsenal players who have a good relationship with Su Feng. Especially Ramsey. Now these two people are almost inseparable. You know, Ramsey is the core of the team. Once if there is a conflict between Ramsey and the dead midfielder, the consequences will be unimaginable. Assistant coach Bold said a lot in one breath, but the expression on Coach Wenger's face was always full of calmness. It seems that everything is under control. Coach Wenger waved his hand towards Bold, indicating that Bold should stop talking. Don't worry, I already know what happened in the locker room. As for Su Feng and the dead midfielder, their relationship has not yet reached an irreconcilable state. After the two of them have a real conflict, I will definitely deal with it. Boulder, your top priority now is to help Su Feng strengthen his core strength and resistance. Su Feng is a very talented player. I believe he will be able to become the main force of the team in the future. As for what happened in the locker room, you don't want to know about it for the time being, so as not to aggravate the conflict. The best way to deal with it now is to wait. At this moment inside the players' dormitories, although Su Feng had just experienced training and a birthday dinner, Su Feng's whole body was already tired, but he did not lie down on the bed and sleep immediately. Instead, he took out a cigar from his drawer, and then took out his mobile phone to play with it. Live football game. Coach Wenger's previous conversation with him also made Su Feng realize his shortcomings. As Coach Wenger said, if Su Feng wants to gain a foothold in the Premier League, his first priority is to strengthen his ability to fight. It was not obvious after daily additional training, so Su Feng decided to special training. The next day it was another high-intensity physical training. After a day of training, every Arsenal player's face was sweating profusely and they were very tired. Feng, don't forget to do extra training. After seeing Su Feng walking straight towards the player's apartment, assistant coach Bold quickly stopped Su Feng, but Su Feng waved his hand towards Boulder and refused directly. Assistant coach Boulder, I'm not feeling well today. Well, I won't practice anymore for now. I need to take a rest. After that, the wind disappeared in front of Boulder in a flash. After returning to the apartment, Su Feng immediately fell asleep, then got up around 12 o'clock in the evening, drank cold beer, turned on live football, and started special training. During this period, Su Feng has been in this training state even in order to avoid the extra training of assistant coach Bold. Su Feng would sometimes secretly leave early before the training is over. Su Feng will slip away quietly. This makes Boulder somewhat helpless. Gradually in the Arsenal dressing room, the attacking midfielder, Welbeck and others also began to spread Su Feng's bad habits. Is this Chinese guy really arrogant? He thinks he has scored a few goals in the team's training match, so he is so arrogant? He actually left early. I have been observing this guy for a long time, and he doesn't do anything in training at all. He is distracted and often even dozes off. This kid may have gone to a nightclub at night. That's right. It seems that when Su Feng was in the second division of Bundesliga, he was exposed by the media that he went to nightclubs many times. Look, this guy is still unrepentant. Chapter 174. The Premier League is coming. Enter the substitute lineup. Time went round and round, and soon came the first round of the Premier League. Arsenal's first game in the Premier League was against Watford. The strength of this team is basically at the middle level of the Premier League. Judging from Arsenal's current strength, it should not be a big problem to defeat Watford and get a good start in the Premier League. After training for the day, Arsenal assistant coach Bold posted the squad for the game against Watford in the dressing room and left directly. Su Feng did not enter the team's starting lineup, but entered the substitute lineup. However, his enemy, the dead midfielder, entered the starting lineup. Obviously, from the current point of view, the dead midfielder's status in Arsenal is still more important than Su Feng. After the dead midfielder saw the starting list, a good idea suddenly came to his mind. He immediately found Welbeck beside him and muttered in a low voice, if Su Feng plays in the next game, we must let Su Feng show off. The best way is to deliberately pass the ball to the opponent. Let him collide with the opponent's defensive player. If he can get injured, that would be great. After Welbeck heard the idea of a dead midfielder, he was very excited and immediately moved towards the dead man. The waist gave a thumbs up. Beautiful. This is really a good strategy. The two people secretly showed a sly smile. However, just when Welbeck and the dead midfielder were planning to plot against Su Feng, perhaps because they were too involved, they did not even notice Su Feng's arrival. Su Feng got behind the two men, and after hearing the conversation between the dead midfielder and Welbeck, He immediately sneered loudly, "What, you want to pass the ball to me? You two guys don't want to help the team win, but you are plotting against me here. It's really funny, HMPH, wait. Let's see, if I can get a chance to play, I will definitely score a goal and hit you two in the face." Su Feng's words instantly made the dead midfielder and Welbeck feel at a loss at this time. Su Feng's friend Ramsey also took the initiative to persuade Su Feng to leave. After all, if Su Feng continues to stay in the locker room, greater conflicts may occur. When Su Feng left the locker room, Welbeck rolled his eyes at Su Feng, who was walking away, and then continued to say to the dead midfielder, "Humph, you still score a goal? I bet that Su Feng won't even have the chance to appear in the next game. This guy is so arrogant. We must let him understand who is the current star of the Arsenal team." The dead midfielder said coldly, "I am the starting midfielder in the game. If Su Feng wants to score, I must pass the ball to him. I want to see how Su Feng can score without my passing." HMPH, just like that, time flew by and soon we came to the first round of the Premier League. Arsenal plays Watford away. The match was played at Vicarage Road. This stadium can accommodate a total of nearly 30,000 fans to watch the game. At the same time, Watford is not a strong team most of the time. Watford's goal is more to avoid relegation. Last season, Watford was only ranked 16th in the Premier League, only 3 points away from the relegation zone. It can be described as a thrilling relegation this season. Under the leadership of head coach Mazzarri, Watford is in relatively good shape. Read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. In the first two friendly matches, the Watford team showed amazing offensive talent. A total of 6 goals were scored in the 2 games. Can see it. Watford's team's offensive strength is still quite strong. At the pre-match press conference, the two head coaches also made bold statements. The first is Coach Wenger, who plays away from home. "After all players have gone through a summer of special training, I believe that every player has found his best condition. At the same time, I also think that tonight, every Arsenal player will be in the best position, create pressure on the opponent during the game. Victory will belong to us Arsenal." It can be seen that Coach Wenger is determined to win tonight's game. He firmly believes that the team will win the game. Victory as the head coach of Watford, Mazzarri thinks so too. "This is Watford's home court, and we will defend the honor of our home court in tomorrow's game." Arsenal is indeed a strong team, and they finished second in the Premier League last season. We want to be in this team. It is definitely a very difficult thing to score points, but I believe we can create miracles. At 8 o'clock in the evening, the Vicarage Road Stadium is packed with tens of thousands of fans who have been looking forward to tonight's game. Before the game starts, the die-hard Watford fans began to sing the team song loudly. Fans hope to cheer for their home team players in this way. 8:30 in the evening, the game also officially started in the Far East. KickEU.com also announced the starting lineups of the two teams. When Chinese fans saw Su Feng sitting on the bench, they started talking a lot. "What? Su Feng didn't start? Hey, it's such a pity. I thought I could watch Su Feng's Premier League game. Actually, it's normal for Su Feng not to start. After all, this is Arsenal. Not his first round game, although Su Feng is killing everyone in the Bundesliga too. If Su Feng is really allowed to start in the Premier League, it is very likely that it will be counterproductive. Having Su Feng as a substitute is definitely the best option." Good choice. Yes, this is a real game, not live football. "I believe Su Feng will be able to represent Arsenal one day." Soon in the discussion among Chinese fans, this game has also begun. Su Feng sat on the bench watching the players on the field with expressionless expressions. To be honest, Su Feng actually doesn't like to be a substitute, but he has no choice. After all, he has just joined the team and must be a substitute. Although Su Feng did not get the opportunity to appear, Su Feng's good friend Ramsey did get the opportunity. Except for Ramsey, Su Feng's two enemies, the dead midfielder and Welbeck, also got the start, and the performance of these two players was relatively good. In the 7th minute of the game, Arsenal then got a shooting opportunity from an excellent position. Chapter 175. Arsenal continues to exert force. Ensure the game is won. Arsenal's fast horse on the left wing, Walcott, immediately accelerated after receiving the football. As everyone knows, Walcott is a very fast player. When he rushed up, there simply aren't many players who can keep up with his sharp pace. 3 times 5 divided by 2. Walcott successfully brought the ball to the baseline. At this time, Walcott did not choose to sweep in front of the goal, but instead chose to pass the ball in an inverted triangle. I have to say that this was a quite correct choice. Bang! In an instant, the football appeared on the line of the penalty area. At this time, Ramsey happened to appear in this position. Faced with this perfect shooting opportunity, Ramsey naturally did not miss it. He directly chose to shoot the ball. The football was like a cannonball, quickly turning into the blind spot of the goal. 1-0, Ramsey successfully helped the team score. The Watford fans at the scene fell silent instantly. No doubt this is not the result Watford fans wanted to see after Ramsey scored. He rushed to the bench immediately and hugged Feng tightly. Ramsey hopes to use this method to inspire Feng, but, after Arsenal scored, the players of Watford, who were playing at home, seemed to be awakened. In the coming time Watford's players actually began to actively attack Arsenal's goal. Although in terms of team strength Watford's players were no match for Arsenal, however, since they were playing at their home court. Every Watford player performed very actively in the game. Soon, Watford's players immediately controlled the rhythm of the game through tireless running. Undeniable Watford are in excellent form. The three midfielders Baremy, Ivora and Cap cooperated tacitly, and the passing and cutting were quite good. Less than 10 minutes Watford successfully broke through Arsenal's goal after the three midfielders passed the ball continuously. Suddenly forward Ialo accelerated against offside and successfully passed behind Arsenal centre-back Chase Kearney. At the same time, Baremy also made a pass. A moment of effort. The football successfully appeared at the feet of Ialo. After receiving the football, the latter easily pushed the ball into the far corner in the face of the attacking Sek. 1-1. Watford successfully scored against Arsenal. After scoring a goal, Watford did not stop their attack. Head coach Zamory constantly directed his players to press forward from the sidelines, hoping to form a siege on Arsenal's goal. But Arsenal's counter-attack is also very threatening. In the midfield, two players, Ramsey and Cazorla, successfully grabbed the ball through active running. Good opportunity for Arsenal to counter-attack in this game. Arsenal's two wide players were Theo Walcott and Chamberlain. Both players are known for their speed, so once Arsenal gets a chance to counter-attack, the two wide players will naturally accelerate immediately and use their speed advantage as much as possible to complete the breakthrough. When Cazorla grabbed the football, read more novels by visiting our website Night Novels. He did not show any sloppiness and decisively sent a through ball at the first opportunity. The timing is just right. After the football crossed half court, it landed perfectly at Walcott's feet. This player didn't dare to slack off and accelerated immediately. Now the Arsenal player responsible for defending Theo Walcott is Olavis. Obviously, this player's speed cannot be compared with Walcott's, but fortunately, this defensive player has sufficient experience. When he saw that he couldn't catch up with Walcott, he simply dragged Walcott from behind. Foul. Olavis was shown a topaz card by the referee. Arsenal received a set-piece opportunity from a better position. At this time the dead midfielder and Ramsey both stood in front of the football. Apparently both players want to take the set-piece. Seeing that neither of them was willing to give in, at the critical moment, Cazorla, the veteran of the team, hugged the football, and then said coldly to Ramsey and the dead midfielder, "This time, I'll take the kick." Cazorla personally took the kick. However, the current player on Arsenal's forward line is number 9 Lucas Perez. The Spanish forward is only 180 centimeters tall and does not have an advantage in fighting for high-altitude balls. Although Cazorla's pass was quite accurate, it did not create any pressure on the opponent's goal. This attack ultimately failed since it is the first Premier League game of the new season. Naturally every player hopes to show his talent and talents as much as possible in the game to get the chance to play so on the pitch. Most Arsenal players are playing alone, especially the two wings Walcott and Chamberlain. Once the football comes to the feet of these two players, there is only one ending, and that is to be surrounded by the Watford defense. On the bench Coach Wenger frowned when he saw this. Obviously, this way of handling the ball is actually contrary to Wenger's football philosophy. Wenger has always advocated sharing the ball and penetrating the opponent's defense as much as possible through constant passing and coordination. In a sense, the tactics Wenger has been discussing have some coincidence with Barcelona's passing and control, but they are not exactly the same. At the end of the first half, Arsenal's players did not change the score. They're still 1-1 after entering the second half. Arsenal's players finally started to exert their strength during halftime. Coach Wenger cursed at his players, hoping to ignite the players' fighting spirit. Have to say Coach Wenger's anger played a decisive role this time. Since the start of the second half of the game, Arsenal players began to take this game actively and seriously. 60 minutes of the game, Ramsey used his superb passing awareness to successfully find forward Lucas Perez. Although this player does not have an advantage in high-altitude ball competition, once the football comes to his feet, Lucas Perez can always pose a threat to the opponent's goal near the penalty spot. Lucas Perez forces a shot. There are no surprises. The football successfully penetrated the opponent's goal. The score was rewritten to 2-1. Another 5 minutes passed. The dead midfielder assisted another forward Welbeck to score another goal. A moment of effort. Arsenal extended their lead to 2 goals. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, Every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.